United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden messages.
Special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I am your host, Adam Dunn. And
I'm KTI.
KTI is filling in for Mitch today. Mitch has a graduation to go to. It's that time of year, right?
Yeah, people are graduating, getting degrees.
Graduating.
They're getting all smart now.
I don't know about that.
Well, that's what allegedly it means, right?
Allegedly. They're all getting out so they can all fight for $12 an hour jobs.
Ooh, me first, I want it.
Great idea. So this is a KTI brought to you by KTI Productions. Actually sounds like a radio show. KTI Productions.
Yeah, I like that name.
Can you turn that off, please? So you are done this whole show yourself.
Yes.
From the ground up.
Well, there was help from Rod.
Not only news brought to you by KTI, but now the whole show.
Yeah, but it was inspired by Rod Kraft. He's one of the viewers in the chat room, and
he inspired you.
Oh, well, he was like, "You gotta get Kevin. You gotta get Kevin. You gotta get Kevin."
Oh, well,
so
thank you.
I got Kevin. He wasn't forgotten. He just So now it's happening.
So actually, the show is brought to you by Rod Kraft.
Well, inspired, right? I mean,
inspired.
It was wonderful. So
that's good. That's what we want. We want, if you have ideas for shows, throw them at us. We have no problem making it happen.
Idea.
We have no problem making it happen.
No, I listen.
And we have plenty of ideas. But then again, it's nice when someone includes that, because that's half the time the show is us learning as much as you guys. That's what we love about it. So tell us a little bit about him. What's the deal?
So his name's Kevin Jodrey.
Mm-hmm.
He is the owner and the guy who runs Wonderland Nursery out in...
Where's that?
Up in... I think it's Laytonville. Up in Northern California is where it's at for sure.
Got you.
So,
they're big suppliers of clones and stuff.
Huge supplier. They put out a lot of stuff, and then he also runs the Ganjier, which is a website, kind of place where people can share ideas and information about growing. And
is that a real place or an online thing?
It's an online place, but I think he said it started from his little from his nursery, because it was a place to exchange ideas. Because in this industry, exchanging ideas for a long time has been difficult, and now that we can be a little more out in the open,
a little bit.
Well, yeah, yeah, a little bit.
Now that we're completely out
in the open. Yeah, secrets out.
That's good. I mean, and NorCal is the front line for this entire industry for the longest time. Now they're going to go through some major changes, so we'll have a whole plethora of stuff to talk to him about.
Yeah, and then he also runs the Golden Terp Awards.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
So at somewhere out in Northern California, Roadkill or something.
And if anybody out there who is dabbling in outdoor growing would understand that if you're not light depping, you're definitely missing out on a huge potential, because to wait on your natural cycle, unless you live in the perfect spot. If you live in the perfect spot, who cares? But like places like here in Colorado, we can pull off 2 good crops a year, sometimes even more if you're really on top of your game. But it's just also that different quality of light during the times of the year produce such different things, because obviously if you're all following the natural schedule, you kind of get locked in on certain things. You can't do certain strains or whatever, but start them early, you can grow anything. Strains that would normally not finish till December, that we just never get those terps out of them. So yep. I shouldn't even say strains, cultivars. You have to start using cultivar. Okay.
Yeah, we're updating all the language in this industry too.
Thank you.
That's the big, and that's the thing is, he talks about it was a Ganjier, so that was his way of. His family's way of changing, the term, and
he's changing his own.
We
like that. We
love
people who
like
change terminology. That's our style. So like I said, Mitch not here. The kid's not here. We're just abandoned. I feel abandoned, actually.
Yeah, they're all gone. But we'll make it.
I'm super stoked that you're here, because not only do you make it on time almost pretty much every time. I think one time you were a minute late. So
well, yeah, that'll happen. I'm better here though than at other places. That's for darn sure.
You bring us all of our pre-grow stones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's like our, that's our job besides this one. And you brought news.
I got a little news.
So and today, news will be brought to you strictly by KTI. He's going to do the whole thing. He looked them up. He's going to announce them, and he's going to throw some crazy anecdotal stuff at the end, probably, because you have to do everything Mitch said, right? You have it all written down.
Yeah, well, you know,
Mitch gave you some specific.
Mitch gave me some damn good ideas, and we're gonna go follow off that. So we're gonna go.
I think on news, he just said news, right?
Oh yeah, he's like, nah, man, just news.
You got that.
You got that. So
okay, well,
let's go with that. So ready?
Let's bust right into it. Well, actually, how was your week? Got to do that.
Oh, my week was good.
Well, you're moving, so it's never good when you're moving.
Well, no, it's not moving, but I found some. Went out and did some bouldering, hung out in the Garden of the Gods for a little bit, and, getting ready for the outdoor season, it's that time of the year, so just getting ready on that, and staying busy, and hopefully get some rosin soon.
Well, I saw that the kid had squished up some stuff for you.
Yeah, a little squish, so I'm excited.
It's good. I like to see you. Like it that you got your own, you'll have some of your own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. My week went by quick, man. These weeks are once it gets nice out like this, flies by. Down at the farm, things are turning. It's same deal as you. I mean, we're just getting ready, hoop house and outdoors. And Cece was working in the garden the whole time, the regular garden. Totally turned it over. Looking good.
Looking awesome.
And it's always good to get a jump on those things because there's nothing more depressing than missing out on like an outdoor cycle and just being like, oh, it's lame. It's so hard here too in Colorado. This has been the slowest start because we just had crazy bad weather for like 3 weeks straight. So that was our whole week too. Like I said, too fast. Didn't have enough time to even get things done.
No, and if you're not on it with the outdoor game, you miss out.
It is all about timing there. So, all right, let's get to news. Let's just moving along. We're going quick now, dude. There's only 3:09.
Let's see.
You need the extra hands there. You need extra hands.
Yeah, no kidding. So let's see, Colombia became the newest nation to legalize medical cannabis down in South America.
I heard about that, actually. I saw they had some big rallies and stuff, and yeah, I think South America will go really fast because, I mean, it's not like they don't have weed around at all times anyway. They have other problems. They have other issues that are way more pressing.
Yeah, and then they, Paraguay, they're importing legal stuff now. All right, ready? Okay, so this is out of New Jersey, and it is saying, marijuana martinis, should government choose for you? And this is what I like to. Senator Nick Scutari is about to try marijuana for the first time. He's a lawyer, and he swears he's never done it before. But as the author of a bill that would legalize marijuana sales in New Jersey, he feels it's a weighty responsibility to investigate. So he's heading to Colorado on a mission. Should probably figure out what it does to you, says the senator. I'm going to do a little reconnaissance.
What a brave soul.
Yeah, I know. So we'll be getting some more politicians out here and getting them all high.
So that's what they're doing, is basically coming around Colorado to try all these things to go back home and say it's cool.
Yep, to go back and be like, I've done it,
It's official. It's official.
So, no, that's about it. It goes into selling weed out in New Jersey and how much money you could bring in. So
yeah, minor details, just numbers and large numbers. The key is now, as long as you talk like $100 million about everything, then they'll listen. If you start talking less, it's not interesting anymore. It's not interesting. Well, KTI, that is brilliant news reading. Let me tell you.
Yeah, thanks.
You need a bigger screen. That's the first thing.
That's for damn sure.
You need a bigger screen. You have your iPad. You know that.
Well, I do now. I forgot all about it because I haven't had it for the past couple of weeks.
Okay, so next time. What else you got? Get on there. Come on. News. Hey,
let's go. News.
All right, a new study conducted by the UNO has found an increase in marijuana-related arrests occurred in Nebraska since the legalization of recreational marijuana in Colorado. Attempting to understand the cost of prohibition in Nebraska after Colorado legalized, the director of Nebraska's Center for Justice Research explains the study's findings. The main thing we found is that Nebraska's marijuana arrest rate has increased by about 11% from 2013 to 2014, which is the first year since legalization of recreational use of marijuana in Colorado. And we also looked at an estimate of costs of law enforcement jailing, and our estimate suggests that those costs went up by about 11.6% in that 1 year period as well. The director said the data was collected by each Nebraska county, and then while data is not causal, there's a correlation, and the impact of Colorado's new law was bigger than expected.
Well, the reality is all it is that the cops in Nebraska are hunting down Colorado license plates and hunting down anybody that they see who's coming over the border, and it's just like it's a classic. Once you get to the final throes where they're like, we have to arrest as many people as possible, this cannot be. It's a reflection of the lack of their fucking ability to control their own thing and have some sort of safe means for people to buy weed in the first place. So they're going to all fall in line, and it's just a matter of time. It's just like, hey guys, get your last hurrahs in, So there'll be a spike, obviously, because they're just trying harder.
But yeah, and I find it interesting too, because it's like the problem they found is that there's an increase in marijuana arrests, and I'm like, okay, so is there any other problems? Is there any health problems? Is there any other traffic problems or anything?
Right.
So far, the only problem is that more people are getting busted for possession.
Which is more money for them.
So it's just some bullshit.
More revenue. No, it's a classic. It's more revenue for the cops, but they can make it sound really bad because, arrests are up. Well, yeah, then probably the minute that is legal, arrests will go down. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know what I mean? Stop creating a problem and you won't have a problem, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Hey,
All right, so we have federal marijuana smuggling is declining in the era of legal weed. So it's become a familiar lament in the age of legal marijuana. Weed from places like Colorado and Washington is making its way all over the country, creating headaches for law enforcement. Nebraska and Oklahoma recently sued Colorado over the state's legal marijuana. The Supreme Court decided to take up the case, and sheriffs in neighboring states have been complaining about the strain Colorado weed is putting on the tight law enforcement budgets. A recent USA Today story described a flow of high-quality marijuana out of Colorado. It may seem as if the country is drowning in cheap, potent Colorado weed, but federal data sets tell a more complicated story. Nationwide, federal marijuana trafficking offenses are on the decline. The United States Sentencing Commission, which compiles data on federal law enforcement efforts, recently released its latest drug trafficking statistics, and they show the federal marijuana trafficking offenses have fallen sharply since 2012, the year that Colorado and Washington residents voted to legalize marijuana.
That's interesting.
There we go.
But, the reality, too, again, is it's because places are now becoming much more dependent on their own source. Like, there's, enough people have tried to make the mission to go to Colorado or California to buy weed, to send it back to wherever they're from. And it's a huge endeavor. It's a huge headache. There's a lot of possibilities of getting in trouble, obviously, along the way. A lot of money loss along the way. And I think at the end of the day, people are now a little more relaxed, and they're like, you know what, fuck it. We'll just grow it where we are.
Yeah, grow our own terroir.
And it makes a lot more sense. And I was just talking to a friend up in Michigan, and I mean, they're crushing it up there right now. I mean, they are exporting weed from Michigan to California. That's how how quickly things are changing. You know what I mean? So, because obviously they're all mostly indoor in Michigan, and they're just grinding out the same stuff. But yeah, it's interesting to see how it's changing, and it's a lot very relevant to living in Amsterdam for so long, because Belgium always would complain, and France would always complain about their borders and the pressures and the stress. And it's like, dude, you're talking about people driving weed over your border. It's not like anything you have to worry about.
No,
besides,
it's not kind of a problem.
Right. And at the end of the day, it was like, oh, look, we busted another one. And really, how much problems did they run into?
Yeah.
The biggest problem was they had to do all the paperwork. That's their problem.
And it's like the odor problem. We don't hear about that with the bars. So, but all right, well, that's my news.
That was it.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I don't know if we're going to have enough for the show if we're going to be like this.
All right.
Make up some news.
Okay, so.
Never mind.
Hey,
you got one more? Sure.
I got one more. So I guess this is what 21st century problems of the industry, but state investigators.
I did read about this one.
So the state's investigating $500,000 in missing medical marijuana oil.
And the headlines, when I read it, it said $5,000 missing, and I was just like, "What's the point of that?" And then I read it, and I was like, "It says $500,000 here, so that's a little different than 5,000." But anyway, go ahead.
No, so authorities are investigating accusations made by a former employee that a Minnesota-based medical marijuana company illegally transported cannabis oil out of the state. The former employee said that at least $500,000 worth of cannabis oil was sent from Minnesota Medical Solutions.
This is a bad story.
Growing facility to its parent company in New York's location.
Somebody narked somebody out. This is what happened.
Yeah.
I read this article, and it's definitely like some major shit went wrong. Like somebody broke some serious rules, and I mean, at the end of the day, they're definitely. This is the kind of stuff that should not be happening. This is quite considered fuckery right here, because it was like, they have missing log books.
Yeah.
They have.
It said the employees said that they were sent to the New York facility in December to oversee the cultivation, and some of the plants were not producing, and could cause the company to fall short of the production deadline set by the state. So back in Minnesota, it says the employee met with the chief operating officer, chief medical officer, and the horticulturist. And the employee was asked to point out jars of cannabis oil that would rescue New York.
So that was a moment in time right there where if somebody actually pointed at, like, say, hey, tell us which ones, that is the moment of the crime, let's say. You know what I mean? Because whoever drove it is obviously an idiot, because...
Well, the CMO is the one he said. And it says he drove the cannabis oils to New York in the company's armored vehicle and make the inventory disappear.
Yeah, that's not a good move. That'll get you in trouble.
Definitely. It's not good transporting.
No. And that's the thing, is it's interesting to see how when the industry becomes legal, now you really have to go out of your way to fucking be an idiot like this guy is, and fuck yourself up and jeopardize your entire... I mean, you're talking about jeopardizing, because if you do anything in New York, you have like $200 million in the bank ready to put on this, and you've spent just shitloads of money just to get to that point, and to jeopardize it like that shows me a real unprofessional sort of way of thinking. And I'm from New York. I mean, I understand that is going to happen for sure.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is,
people are probably thinking about saving their company, but at the same time, now look what they're doing.
Yeah, well, with the alcohol industry, you know what I mean. In that sense, they, when you move across state lines, I'm sure there's some.
Well, that is your number one faux pas now.
So
it always has been. It's crossing state lines in general, international lines, whatever it is. But now, if you want to be in this industry, you got to understand. You got to fall in line a little bit. Just sorry. Carry personal wherever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. But once you start talking taking stock out of a company and bringing it, taking a product from one facility to another, even I would be nervous on that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the Colorado, they had that with their transportation laws. They just changed it because if there's a snowstorm, they had to return back to the original facility if they couldn't make it out, if they were moving from one place to another. And now they're allowed to. I don't know. I can't remember where they're allowed to stay, but they're allowed. They don't have to run back, I think, to their to the dispensary that they came from.
So is it like a midnight curfew, right?
Yeah, it was something like that. And that's the thing. They started to change those hours too, that you can transport, I think, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, because for whatever reason,
I mean, it's a logistic, and that's where California is about to fucking just get fucked, basically, because they're creating that whole distributor, transportator, producer license, 15 different licenses. So you hand your product to somebody who then hands it to somebody who then hands it back to you via, you know what I mean? And it's like, wow, that is going to be interesting to see how that pans out, because even over here with your own employee going from A to B, it's sometimes an issue, or just to follow their rules, because you got to go certain directions. You can't divert, hit a lot of traffic, nightmare.
Yeah, and I know with is it California, I think? And then with some of the alcohol industry too, they have the 3-tier industry. Mm-hmm. So they gotta have that. You have to have a distributor. You gotta have somebody who does that part.
Exactly. Well, the crazy part with cannabis is that, as we all know, it's such an amount of work to get stuff cured out the right time to get it on the shelf. Then it sits on the shelf for X amount of time, and it has to get into the customer's hand and be looking good. And when you start adding extra steps into that, I don't know. It's kind of a hard one. That's like one of those. What happens when someone mishandles it?
Yeah.
Especially with shatter.
It's a needless.
Especially with oils and shatters and butters and things that shouldn't be butters that are now butters. And, you know what I mean? Just like, wow, it's going to be interesting. Because I know that it's hard to trust. I mean, I was talking to Nicotine about this the last time when on our missing show that's disappeared.
The hidden episode.
The hidden episode.
The last episode.
But we were talking about how, he personally picks up most of his material because he doesn't really it's just hard, especially live stuff, because live resin is like generator, refrigerator, driving on the highway, making sure that shit's still staying cold. It's a fucking nightmare, So
properly handling it is key.
And I think if somebody's trying to pick up multiple locations on the same day, today doing it as a business and stuff, and keeping that stuff at the right temperature. It's a lot to think of. It's almost like doing a heart transplants or something, and you're just like you're like, okay, you got X amount of time to get A to B. Here it's on ice, and you better get there. And you can't just stop and grab a burger and dilly dally and the heart's dead. Oh well, whatever.
No
biggie.
No, I remember hearing about a hot dog company, and they remodeled their whole facility. And their hot dogs, I think, changed color or changed taste, and they couldn't figure it out. And what it was is that the old facility, somebody had to manually carry the product from A to B or something, and that trip it had, that exposure it had, caused that special change, and that's what made their hot dogs their hot dogs or whatever. So
actually, it was a fuck up that made their hot dogs right.
And so they corrected that in the new facility, and all of a sudden, I'm sure they
hired someone to stand around and waste time.
Yeah, exactly.
Could you meander around the shop,
hang out for a little bit?
Yeah, just meander. That's it until we tell you to stop.
Yeah.
Crazy. So what's this big news I saw? Some Earl Steffi III I saw something with big news. So what's that? Something for us? No, it's something on the ballot. Boo. Boo. Hey, how was the Springs the other day with Obama down there? Was it nuts?
Nah, I mean, it's Obama, but it ain't that same hype that he had that, in the last couple elections, But and it's Colorado Springs, so, he was there for the Air Force Academy graduation.
Usually when he's in town, it just fucks. I mean, you can't get from A to B, and it's all the roads are closed, and you're like, what is going on? And then you see the motorcade go by, and you're like,
black SUV, black SUV, black SUV, black SUV.
Oh yeah, a lot of black SUVs.
Flashing
Lights
lights
for sure.
I try to avoid that part of town anyway. That's the busy part of town. I like to just hang out in the foothills or something, A little calmer.
That's where you find
there.
KTIs hanging in the foothills,
hanging out there. Come say hi.
So, did we get a confirmation yet from him? Or you need to reconfirm that
apparently I should.
He's on check. You might want to reconfirm just to get him on deck so we can know what we're shooting for. I don't know if Mitch is listening to us, but if he is, hopefully his gout is under control.
Yeah, I had a kombucha for him just in case he showed up.
He got a new car, you know that?
No, he upgraded. What did he get?
He upgraded.
Was it an upgrade?
He got a new Honda.
Well, there you go.
So he's in the same department. He talks to him also.
Well, that's an upgrade then.
Yeah, so I asked him. The first thing I
Hello,
asked him,
Mitch.
does it talk to you? He's like, yes. I'm like, oh, you bastard. I don't really want a car that talks to me, though. I'm kind of happy with my not talking to me kind of car. What is he on?
Yeah, they're just, it's Northern California problems. You live out in the middle of paradise growing great herb, and they're having a small issue with the strength of their signal.
Okay,
so it's no big worries.
They're calling by Skype or by... They're going to do by internet? They have only internet there, or they have... Which signal are we talking?
I don't know.
Phone signal?
Probably phone signal.
We'll check with them and see what's up. Let's make sure we get that squared away. A little later on in the show, I'm going to have a drop-in, too, from my friend from Dabsolute, Earl. He's going to swing through and show us some new products I think that he's coming out with.
What kind of... Do we know? Or?
Well, Dabsolute is a pen attachment, which is by far the most superior one. Like, basically, I'm not a big pen fan, as you probably know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a pen,
But his is like an attachment, screws up, it has zero resistance. That's what I like about it. The only problem is that I have this fucking issue with all new hardware where, like, I'll get something, and sure enough, it does not fucking work with the other things. It'll be like, why is everything not universal? Like, they'll have... So I ended up never having a strong enough battery for the Dabsolute, because the Dabsolute needs a good, strong battery, and that thing just totes hard. I'm telling you.
That's awesome. I'm all about finding a good pen because you need that inconspicuous, like...
Well, this is hardly inconspicuous because it uses that. Basically, it makes
well,
you
you
look
know.
like you're a nicotine slave because you have this gigantic monstrosity of a battery hooked up to this thing, and you're like,
oh, that's what you want. You know, you want that portable dabber. That what is the old electronic one?
The new tall ones. I don't like those. The
no.
Bolt or whatever. The
I can't
Bolt. The
remember.
Bolt.
So.
I think they're good, but I also feel like there's a whole bunch of shitty ones on the market that I wouldn't trust because they're using cheap metal and shit. And because you're hitting on it, it's sort of like you're hitting on a dab too. It's kind of like you're hitting on it harder. I don't know. We get a little nervous when you start opening them up and you see the cheap components that they're inside.
Well, speaking of cheap components, let's talk about Way to Grow.
That's
They
not
got them
cheap
good. Well, they got them
components.
good deals. They
They
got
got
them
the-
good deals. You know.
Oh, you're talking about cheap.
Cheap as in
cheap
like
in
good
price.
deals. Cheap as in like they're dirt cheap. Oh wait. Oh no.
It's not dirt
June.
cheap sale.
Oh no.
It's a new
That's
sale.
right.
They
No.
have a new sale.
Yes. No. I'm so sorry.
You gonna play the music?
Yes, I
Make it
am.
straight. Okay, do the music.
Okay.
Dun-dun-dun-dun. Is it on? Is it on? You gotta be ready with the music though too, because you have to drop it before he starts talking. Nice. Way to Grow. Our favorite grow shop here in Colorado. 7 locations all over the state. Latest one is Silverthorne. No problem getting down from the mountains now, but you don't have to drive all the way down to the hot.
Anybody.
There you go, Mr. Yeah, anybody can go to Way to Grow and get a deal, especially if you use the Adam Dunn Show code. Now, we didn't get an update because Mitch is not here, but if you can try to hit that old Phantom deal or the old deals from last month, I would shoot for it. Why the hell not? And that was ADS Blue and ADS Phantom with the 2 codes.
Yep. You get it. For the Hortilux Blue, the
Hortilux.
1000 watt.
Yep, it was $149.
139. Oh no, it's 139. It's
$139, regularly $239. Okay, $239.
yeah.
So $100 off there, and with same deal with the Phantom Menace, even a little more, $106 off. Regularly, $455.99 now $349, and that's actually a super deal. We get a ceramic metal halide LEC with 315 bulbs, and if you're especially now we're getting into the summertime, heat issues, veg maximum, definitely the best vegging bulbs I think right now, just for the heat signature and the spread that they throw.
No, and at that kind of price, it's fantastic.
Killer price, and it's a complete package, and that's also from Phantom
Yeah.
too. So it's no hokey dokey brands.
But hopefully, they still have them left. So
Yeah,
get a
I believe
couple.
you could probably maneuver a deal there. You know, especially if you know all these.
Plus, if you
secret
drop
codes.
the ADS Phantom, you probably can't do the ADS.
And of
Blue,
course, try to
you know.
use the ADS code anyway on the way
And
out.
smiling real nice. And take your candy wrappers.
And take your candy wrappers.
You know what I
don't
mean?
leave
Put
those
them in your
behind.
pocket. Put them
Don't-
in the trash, right? You know.
Also,
them.
again, any kind of grow questions, things like that, check online, waytogrow.net. They've got they've improved their website immensely. It's got soundtracks.
It's got wonderful soundtracks, and today, and of course, it being
Oh.
June, we're getting ready for the IPM and getting ready for the early and often pest prevention sales. 30% off a whole bunch of wonderful products like the Clean Green and the Kapow and Mighty Wash, and
Pretty much, I think all of the
Mhm.
pest prevention products.
got to keep that outdoor looking good from beginning to end. And
An ounce of prevention
announce
equals
prevention.
a pound of cure. And that's the truth 100% when it comes to cannabis. The other prevention from you having a bad time is jumping on some Incredibles. That'll prevent any kind of...
Yeah, and I definitely at work the other day. I definitely mouthed through a whole bunch of
How
Incredibles.
many did you mount through?
Oh, mouth through some of the fire. Was it the Fireberry bar? Mouth through some the Afgado.
They got the
and
new
then-
the gummy bites.
Oh yeah, I had some of those.
You had some of those too. Good
Well,
job.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but yeah, I had those first, and then I did the chocolate. You know, and then I ended with what was the last one?
Man, you just went
Mile
with
High Mint. Yeah, I ended with Mile High Mint.
with a 500 milligram. You ended with.
Well, not. I did split some of them, but we definitely ate some milligrams there and had some fun time talking
I would
to some
have
people.
to say that their flavors are going off the chart lately. They keep coming out with new ones. They're tightening up some of the old ones. I mean, everything. Oh, it's fire.
No, that's what says we enter into America time.
America.
We
You can
got
get
them
your Pop
firecrackers.
Rocks in a white chocolate with red and blue Pop Rocks. Oh my God,
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
those things are the bomb. Yeah. I know my friend Adam K wanted to give Nick some pop rocks, and I was like, I don't know if CC would allow that. There's way too many food colors in there. If you can get like some natural pop rocks that are like organic, then we might do that.
I'll have to stop by Whole Foods then or something.
Yep, that pistachio mint, that was a cup winner, I believe.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
That's a great new flavor. They did really good this year at the cup. They won with the CBD black cherry bar. That was first place in the CBD category.
And their pens.
Yep. Beautiful.
Well, on to that outdoor time, right? You know.
Oh my God, they're so busy right now. I tried to call Jeremy today, and it's like he's got please just divert. You know,
Adam Dunn who?
No, yeah, exactly.
Too many people. Too many.
No, he's definitely just balls out right now, getting everything ready for the outdoor season. And you know, it is the outdoor season, but I'd have to say one thing you do notice as an indoor grower is that when spring kicks in, your plants just jump. Like all of a sudden you're like the thing that was just kind of hanging around, and even though it had light and it had food, it had all the right conditions, it's atmospherically the differences of just having springtime kick in. It's like your clones that weren't rooting are now rooting, you know, just bam, out of the blue. So any amendments you're looking for, hard to find amendments, things dehydrated cocoa to make coconut water and things like that are great for if you want to give your plants a super fucking bonus round of foliar. They also have all your IPM products. They're able to do custom blend soils if you're planning on doing some stuff outdoors, indoors, whatever. They'll do it down to a bag, but you know, obviously we want you to think a little bigger than that. They also have great customer support. That's one of the things about Build-A-Soil that we've always loved is that, you know, people are kind of having a hard time because people are coming out of one style of growing. They're trying to get into this, and it's a bit daunting if you're starting out, especially because it's a lot of pre-work and a lot of stuff that doesn't happen immediately. So you have to understand that you need to get ready for like tomorrow when you're going to be doing your tea. So you need to start your tea today. You can't just go in and right before you
stitch in time
ran off to Red Rocks or whatever, and you're going to feed your plants, and then no, you actually had to plan that shit the day before. And so yeah, Build-A-Soil.com.
Build-A-Soil.com and Dark Horse Genetics.
Dark Horse Genetics. Mitch is not working now. I guess he must be out doing other stuff. But
well, you should be at that. Yeah.
In general, the whole crew down there grinding away. I know they were pumping out some great product. They are. They have representing Jaw Farm still. I've got a bunch of product down south, down in the Springs, and all your area. It seems like is.
Oh yeah, down at the 64 store on the west side.
That's their territory. So down south, definitely pick up some of that. Only medical at the moment.
But super fire.
Super fire. So if you have a medical card and you're down south, anywhere in Colorado, actually. I mean, just keep an eye out. And if you don't have it at your spot, tell them to fucking get in touch with Dark Horse and get some of that gear in your spot.
Tell them to get on their game.
That's it.
So cool. And
get your beers ready.
You
don't have your beer ready.
No, I don't have my beer ready.
You failed already.
No, it's fine. Hey, I got the ADSI jar.
You smash that ADSI jar.
Make that into one. You know, make that a future grow stone.
Grow stone, recycled glass, which is awesome. We love that. And it's funny because Grow Stone recycled glass, Hoodlum recycled plastic bottles. We are the recyclers, you know, and that's one of the nicest things about any kind of product is sustainability. We love it. But yeah, the Grow Stone, they have literally, I think, about 6 or 7 different products. I am testing out some of the cocoa right now. It's really fucking good quality, and also the stones themselves being so big and irregular. I love that because perlite, even though it does help, it's quite tight. You know, when you have larger surface area and you got a bit more to work with, you can see the water running down it, like you know, so you know it's cutting back and forth and switching through, and it's not just picking up air as it goes down, compared to just like compacting. Doesn't fucking float, dude. That's the key right there.
Yeah, I hate that floating.
Yeah, at the end,
all
your perlite is on the top, and your bottom is all compacted, and you know it's hard to get down underneath. So, as a layer at the bottom, fucking fire too, works really good.
Where's the layer on top for them gnats?
Exactly.
Those damn gnats.
Layer at the bottom, layer at top. So they also have their what do they call their gnat?
Yeah, it's their gnat.
What's it called?
Gnat mix,
exactly. So basically that's like creating a finer layer, almost like perlite style, but that just 2 inches on top, and you will not. It can't get through. So, it's a physical barrier which works really well. It's crazy how with all the different bugs out there, like fucking fungus gnats, man. Those things. Some people just they can't not get rid. They have every other thing nailed down, and it's just those little bastards. And it's not that they cause so much damage, but they can. And I've seen them get out of control, especially on hydra. You got to watch out.
Oh yeah,
because you ain't got much left there to eat, so they just kind of take over.
And they get on your buds too.
Terrible.
Get, it's like it's fly plate paper. Unfortunately,
that
that's
is the
not
worst.
good. I mean, better.
Nothing worse than a crop that was beautiful with covered in gnats.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, most expensive fly paper. Well, and then
don't you forget Vigil Bloom. Hopefully going to have them through the studio soon. I thought they're supposed to be here soon, like last week.
Yeah, they'll be here real soon. I know. One of these.
Good. And then simplified that stuff. We had Joe Canapoo on last week, kind of giving you the breakdown on it. One of the things that's interesting about Veg and Bloom is it's everybody always thinks like, oh, it's real salty and this and that. It's actually, I found out like there's only one product within the whole thing that is salt based. Everything else is not. So. Simplification, large scale growing, super awesome. I mean, it's like one of those things where, we need to make it. It's not that we want to simplify it, but we do have to, especially when you start talking large scale production stuff, because once you have 6 or 7 inputs, it's human error that's always the problem. You know what I mean? It's 90% of the time it's 1 or 2 products that they're short or overdone or completely missing because somebody spaced out. Just keep it real simple. I mean, back in the day, that was the growing technique, right? The KISS technique.
Hey, KISS technique. It's always the KISS technique. It's always this. Whatever your thing is, I'm always a big simple guy. I think it's just better. Simple's better. So, which is why Veg and Bloom kills it.
Nope, Veg and Bloom, and they got that push product is great. That's that flowering stimulator. I love that. Kind of wish I could use it with my other stuff because I've got 3 different programs going on, but I'm sticking program to program. I don't want to mess it up. But it's like one of those ones where I want to use this on everything.
Yeah.
No, it really is good.
Switch.
Great products.
But that's how you can tell it's good when you compare it to other products. That's how you can tell the quality of these things.
Well, at the end of the day, I would pick and choose from a lot of different companies, and I end up with my own little thing. But in this particular situation, it's really good to work with their program, and you can add to it if you want. But it's you got to have the bases covered. And then you're good.
Sweet.
And don't forget,
seeds are now.
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 Seedsarenow.com. Seeds are now.
And the app. Seeds are now app. You got to go to that.
No.
You got to get that, download that. I think they have about 20 different companies now they're repping about.
Oh my goodness, they have a bunch.
Actually, I did notice the other day on the catalog that I was not included on the catalog. I was like, wait a minute, how come I'm not on here? I was like, everybody but me.
Misprint.
Must have been a misprint.
Misprint. It was an accident.
No big deal. No, I'm on this though. I am there.
Yeah, there it is.
There I am. Oh, good.
THC.
But yeah, our buddies from Sunny Chiba. You got Two's on
we got
there.
the Seed Company.
We got Dark Horse. We got everybody on there.
Homegrown Natural Wonders.
DJ Short.
Dr. Blaze.
Exotic La Plata, who was just here recently. Motor Rebel.
Yeah.
Even our buddies over at Ethos here in Colorado are in there now.
Yeah.
It seems like pretty much every couple weeks got someone new.
Oh, they're working hard on getting a good selection of stuff.
And I know he just got in a bunch of Top Dog too. So if you're looking for Top Dog stuff, then he is fully stocked.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
Da-da-da-da.
I am going to give
hyping up our mind control there.
I am going to give our friend a call because he's having a hard time with the with his connection. So we're going to give him a call.
See if we can go the reverse.
We're going to go ahead and just do this back. We'll call it. It'll be a call-in show to him.
Do we have Skype credit, or is this on a phone number, or is this?
Man, I don't know.
We don't have Skype credit. It says right there. Your Skype credit is 0.
So what does that mean?
Well, let's see. He's on internet, so it's fine. Let's see. Technology.
Keep the fingers crossed. It's connecting.
Says it's connecting. That don't mean nothing.
No.
Oh, God.
Joe.
NorCal and their...
G'day.
That's fine. That's fine. What's that?
So... Oh, no. Call failed.
Okay, so this is a problem here. We got a problem.
Right.
Technological
Mitch
overload on the network. Looks like time for a joint. myself. Yeah.
Time to do that. Yeah, the problems of living in Northern California, where reception not that good, and where internet is just, internet's a new thing. I'm thinking up in that spot too. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it's a new thing, but definitely good quality. I mean, I have shitty internet at my mom's place.
Well, and that's what those dope ass places.
Nicer the place, the worse the internet.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. It's a good thing. Kind of.
It's actually true. I think Tennessee has the best internet in America.
There you go. Enough said.
Highest speed internet is in Tennessee of all places. It's a test beta place.
Okay. Oh, we don't FaceTime.
All right, we'll try it again.
We are trying because we are determined.
Yeah, we have to. Gotta keep trying. Rod Kraft is here waiting. He's waiting for us now.
Quitters never win. Rod, you had a great idea, man.
I will try to help you with the dead air there instead of drinking beer.
So,
did you get? Can you contact him via just text? Is that working?
I don't think. Damn it! I was excited for that for a second.
Almost thought it was.
No. Well, we're gonna see if he can't call in. I'm gonna go ahead and give my technological guy a call, Brian.
How's that gonna help?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he'll have an answer.
He doesn't know that.
Oh, he knows everything.
I don't think so. I think he's gonna say, kid stuff.
This is a good time for me to go get a grow stone, then I can leave you with that there.
Go get a grow stone. That's good. Go get a grow stone. So, as KTI attempts some IT work with, it's KTIT is your new title now. KTIT. I'm actually super stoked. I can't wait to talk to this guy because it's one thing of, when you've done enough cloning like these guys do in NorCal, where people I'm sure have seen it all, and you take on a big responsibility as a producer like that, because the minute you hand it out of your hands, of course nobody's giving you credit when it goes great, but they're definitely going to blame you when it goes wrong. So I'm sure. If anything, he's seen it all. And also, I mean, I'm curious to see what they do for pest control, things like that, because once you start getting into like old moms or lots of moms and clones and stuff, it's a minefield to work with, and a lot of people don't get it. I mean, I've seen so many people who come in and they start crunching numbers and they've never grown in their life, and they're like, I'm going to grow clones. It's like, you can't just start growing clones. You can. Yeah. It's a big risk, though, because you as a not, if they're not your material, you haven't been working with it long enough, you're not sure how stable it is. You start putting them out by the numbers like that, it ends up getting to the point where, you can cause some serious problems. I've seen it happen. No,
and one of the things I heard him mention was that, because they do such huge numbers of clones, is that the batches of the cloning dip that they were using, that they went through so many of them that they ended across a shitty batch and just burnt a whole round that they had taken. Right. So and then they're out that and then they have to recover from that kind of stuff.
Well, it's just I have one of the guys that used to work with us was an orchid breeder, and so he would they would produce 15 million clones a year was the average, and this kid was the main guy doing it. So, when you produce 15 million clones, you kind of get into a rhythm, I guess. I hope you get into a rhythm at that point. But it's just like you're in a situation when you're talking about such mass numbers. It's very much like large-scale farming, where you don't, pig farmers don't have problems until they try to put 10,000 pigs in a building, together, and then they have some serious problems because these things were not meant to be that tight in those tight quarters. Same thing kind of happens with the cloning. Is like you can get away with it to a certain point when everything's really healthy, but if you get any issues, it can run rampant through your whole facility, and then that's a scary situation, especially because if it happens and you're not aware of it happening, it can even be like, passed on to you're passing it on to all these other people who have big gardens too. So, anyway, that was my rant. Like that.
It's a tough one thing. But the good thing is now, though, is now that we're in a different day and age, with this industry is that we can start to do specialization. So we can have these guys like Kevin who can just focus on doing propagation and worrying about that. And you can have other people to focus on, the processing or the growing and the selling and the hash making.
Because I was wondering about that, is if we put credit on that, can we call him on his phone?
Oh, let's give it a whack. I told him to give him a call. I told him to give him a call from his cell phone to the TADS number. I don't know if that works, but I figured I'd say it.
Of course it would.
No, sweet. Then maybe he'll be calling in just a second. Thanks, Kevin.
And you got through to him, though.
Yeah. What's that?
And he got back to you like you're actually talking to somebody. So that's a question.
Yeah. I'm talking to Kevin and Sarah.
Okay, good.
They're the awesome people over there.
Okay,
They've been.
Good. That's good.
They're
so,
doing.
Did you give him the number?
Yes.
Properly?
Yeah, I hope so.
Repeat
Well,
it.
let's repeat it. 720-310-8237, which is TADS.
Boom. Good job. I'm so scared when I say that number because I've said it wrong so many times, and I've had people try to call in, and I've been like, "Oh, that's not going to work." If I tell you that, because I don't know what the 8237, I get confused. I start doing 8327. Is it 8327 or 8237?
Somebody's just getting that call like, "I want the seeds. I got the seeds. I got the seeds. I can bark like a dog." Bark, 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 bark.
Yeah, no.
So.
Yep. So
we'll see.
What else we got going on? You're looking at getting a sign from God. Something happening?
Yes. No. Just receiving my message from him or her right now. Bam. Cool. No, I'm gonna get the Skype credits. Go ahead and spend some money.
So, all right. So let me talk I guess someone wants to talk about I see that Green Prime says he wants to. Oh, there you go. I'll tell you all about it after.
Yes.
Perfect.
Welcome to the Adam Dunn Show. Is this Kevin?
Hi. How's it going, man? No, this is Gavin's son, Nicola Jodrey.
Oh,
I'm
what's up?
having
How you
some
doing?
technical difficulties.
Gotta send
Nah,
it.
you're awesome. I
You guys,
appreciate
You
it.
got to send in the kids when you want to get it done. That's how it always works. How's it going?
Can I do just to hook you guys up with Kev over the phone?
Yeah. No, this is
Sounds
working
good.
perfect.
Sounds
We're
good.
live and good to go, and
Okay.
you're sounding awesome.
Ah, perfect. I'll go and grab him. Hold on, guys.
The technology. Children.
Yeah. I think that was.
They bring the he's probably like my age. Right? How old?
Oh,
Did you
look
find
at
out
that.
how old kid?
Yeah. I think he was the one that Kevin said came up with the Ganjier term.
Really?
So.
We'll ask that. That'll
But-
be a question.
Listen to this hold music.
We got hold music and everything. Oh, that's total hold. That's like
Oh,
Verizon.
yeah.
That's like Verizon.
No dead air here with this stuff. You kidding me? This is just rocking it.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that. But
We gotta get these people in
we
town.
We have to get our own background music like that. It's like some 80s stuff. It's just kind of
We'll get that going for next week.
sounds good. Yeah. And here we go.
Hello?
Hey,
Hello.
Kevin.
Welcome, Kevin.
Hey, this is Kev.
Hey, this is Kyle, and
This is
Adam's here. And
Adam
we're,
right here. How you doing?
we're on the air and good to go.
Welcome to
Right on, man. Thanks for waiting.
That's no problem. Thanks.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the Adam Dunn Show. We are excited to talk to you, actually.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, you know what it is? I'll tell you, we got a little bit of like a little delay. Where I live in the Emerald Triangle, man, we have nothing but lag on circuitry and time. So I'm on a computer phone.
Yep.
So I'll be slow on my response from here forward. All right.
That's
Okay.
fine. We'll adjust for the lag. We're used to that. Don't worry.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how'd you get into how'd you start growing? How'd you get to Northern California? You're from Northern California?
Oh shit! No, I'm from New England originally. I get into
listen,
growing.
He's a wicked pissa kind of guy. You can already see it. I can already hear it. It's a wicked pissa.
Oh yeah, no, I get into growing back in the late '70s in New England. I'm from Rhode Island,
Yeah, that's cool. I grew up in Rhode Island, actually. I grew up in.
Oh, no shit.
I grew up in Jamestown, and North.
yeah, I'm from Oakland Beach.
and North Kingstown a bit. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure we know some of these
And so-
mutual friends.
Yeah, and so my area, the neighborhood I grew up in, was where all the pounds were coming in from the fishing boats. And so I kind of came up in a neighborhood where we were busting up bales at probably like 12, 13. And so by the time I was, 14, I was already into business and cultivating. And by the time I got in 11th grade, I already got incarcerated for cultivation.
That's a real Rhode Island story right there.
So that would have been 83.
That's a true Rhode Island story. That's one of the things I graduated at 87 myself in Rhode Island, and I always thought of it as like the place you get in trouble. That's it. That's all I could ever think of, because everybody I know did pretty good to a point, and then they got in trouble there. It was like, yeah.
Well, the drug war was hot too, you know. I mean,
Yep.
the drug war was on at that moment in time, and my neighborhood, my family was involved in cannabis-related stuff, and so
Easy targets.
you know, it was just kind of, you go into it. And so I ended up, I get incarcerated, I get out of training school, graduate high school, and I went in the military for a few years, and just to get out the neighborhood. And when I was in the military, I was doing dive salvage. I was a salvage diver. And the government used to send me on liaison projects with the Department of Justice and the DEA. And so I used to go and do these eradication jobs out on the open ocean, where they would drop me out of helicopters onto these ships full of drugs. And so I went from being a grower to jumping out of helicopters onto boats full of pot. But I was looking at billions of dollars of weed, and there was so much of it that it made me realize that really was our world. And so when I got out of the military, the day I got out of the service, I got my indoor lights. That would have been 89.
Nice.
And I sparked up in the Bay Area. Yeah, I was in the Bay at that time, so I was in Oakland, so I sparked up in 89 indoor.
And that's really like the beginning of it for most people, if they were doing any indoor, like, because before that it was pretty hard to put it all together. I think 87 and 86, 87 is when it really started like materialized as far as the lighting got better and quality of the gear and stuff.
Yeah, well, they had, you know, the Operation Green Merchant was going down, I think 85. That's what, you know, snapped up the guy that had since Militips, and it at that time, you know, you used to have to go to the grocery store and show your ID if you wanted to buy any lights.
Right.
And so, you know, they were really, really on it at that time. And so I was able to get around some of that stuff, and I was able to get all my equipment without having to, you know, show any kind of proof.
Sure.
And, you know, off I went. And I got a hold of a lady I knew out of Mendocino, and I was able to get some really killer, you know, Afghani genetics from her. And I started working in the Bay on those lines. And it was just a fantastic time. You know, the weed scene was still really awesome in Cali. You still had a lot of the killer native genetic forms. Mm-hmm. So this is when all the real skunks were still firing off. You had all the pine strains. You know, I mean, you had all the killer lines. And so I was just grateful to be here, you know, be able to be part of it. And the money was, you know, fantastic too. This was, you know, $5,100 a pound days.
Yeah, it was crazy back then. I know, for sure. Yeah, you were definitely trend-setting at that point, especially for East, because, you know, the thing is, it's interesting when I grew up in Rhode Island, but I also lived in L.A. as a kid, and so I was always like the bi-coastal kid. And when I came back from Cali with weed to Rhode Island, and I used to tell this to people all the time, like I would go to my friend's house, and we'd be smoking a joint in his basement, and his dad would come, like, kick the door in and be all mad because he'd be like, how do you have better weed than me? You know what I mean? And I'd be like,
yeah.
well, I just came back from Cali, and I got this from Big Sur, you know what I mean? And they're just like, oh, my God, you're 14 years old. How can you have this? This doesn't make sense, you know what I mean? But the reality was, it was,
totally.
You know, it's just exposure at that point. So it must be awesome to be from New England at that time, because I mean, you're one of a handful of East Coast people that would dare to go out there, because people were definitely more, you know what it was, East Coast people are more timid to leave their spot, you know what I mean? They got their little...
Oh, yeah, the neighborhood's your world. But, like, for me, you know, I got lucky in that when I was in the Bay, I hooked up, I have my older brother, he died last year. He's my older brother by choice, you know, he kind of adopted me.
Right.
But he passed away last year from a heart attack. His name was Azel. And so Azel was this brother that I met when I was in the Bay when I was young. And so he kind of took me in as a young apprentice, so to speak. And he was just a really seasoned dude. He was a straight player out of Philadelphia who now lived in Oakland. And so I got to hang out with him, and what it did was it put me into, like, the ethnic black cultural scene of Oakland in the late 80s, early 90s, which was an unbelievable time for Oakland. It was when Oakland was, it was blowing up. Yeah. And so I got to tie in with all this hip-hop shit. I got to be involved in all this cool social stuff, and cannabis allowed me to move through that world so smoothly. Yeah. And over the years, a lot of those people that I met and hung out with were cats that later on I ended up going back to the Bay and building scenes for. You know, a lot of the cocaine business is what built Oakland, but a lot of the guys that, you know, were into the cocaine business, they ended up getting out of cocaine and going into the cannabis business. They said, hey, cannabis is a lot safer, a lot more benign. They felt better about it. So ironically, all the people I meet, back in the day, 15 years later, when cannabis is exploding and Amsterdam's going off, I go back into that world again and build all these commercial operations.
Right.
So it was really a cool time period, man. It was to be from New England and then to get to be in Oakland, living in Oakland, was just like surreal,
Well, yeah, like I said also, too, is like it's kind of like similar to what like me living in Amsterdam for so long, and just because always everybody thinks of Amsterdam as weed, of course, but when you got there, it was like, well, actually, the real weed people, there's not that. I mean, there's only a certain core group of people, and once you got tapped into that, you kind of like were like, wow, same deal, special time, special place. Things were happening that weren't happening in other places just because of the openness of it all, and then I mean, it kind of. It's all about timing, Like if you're lucky enough to be in a good place, you just should absorb as much as possible because.
Oh, dude, I hit Humboldt in '92, so I hit Humboldt in '92, and I actually came up here. I used to do a lighthouse restoration as a vocation on the side,
right?
And I was restoring a lighthouse, and it was so beautiful up here. I mean, I know the weed culture, and I had partners up here, and because I was always in the business, I've never not been in the business. That was like the irony. The cannabis is like my whole world. Mm-hmm. Everything else I did was kind of something to keep me busy when I wasn't in cannabis.
Right.
And so I'm doing this lighthouse work, and I know people up here, but I was just enjoying being in Humboldt so much as a place that my little brother Russ came out to live with me when he was 12, and he and I moved up from the Bay, and we just said, fuck it, let's just roll right up to Humboldt County, and that's where we'll live. And so in '92, he and I moved up here together, and Russ is still here, I'm still here. Shit, Russ works with me in the nursery.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then... during all this stuff, did you ever run into any major problems? I mean, it sounds like you had a great time, but did you, I mean, as we all know, this industry is only now finally getting to the point where you can talk about it and be cool about it and people don't give a shit.
Oh, yeah. I caught a bunch of cases.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I got busted multiple times. I mean, multiple busts.
I mean, for me, that's sometimes one of those things I think, like, it's like 10 years from now, to talk to people who got busted back in the day when it was illegal is going to be, like, crazy from like, my kid. My kid's 4 right now, so I'd say when he's 14, he's going to be like, what? You got in trouble for that? You know what I mean? They're not going to even understand it. But
Jesus. Yeah, they brought in a federal prosecutor for one of the cases. Yeah, no, I was busy.
Give me a scenario when the penny dropped on one of these situations, because those are always the ones where you're like, like everything's going great,
shit.
And then all of a sudden you go to like to dinner and you meet some guy and he's actually a cop and you didn't know it and you fall. There's always something.
No, I never got ripped like that. What happened with us is that we've been in business for a while and we really kind of frustrated the local law enforcement for a bit, and so 5 of us all got hit with the reverse 911 sting. So all 5 of us had reverse 911 calls simultaneously, and all 5 houses got hit at the same time simultaneously. And they thought that I was going to be, loaded, but I didn't. I only had basically what was allowed, medically in the house. Sure. Except I think there maybe 12 plants, more. So there was 15 allowed. I think I had 25. Right. Well, they wanted to give me 6 years in prison for that because they were angry. Yeah, so they brought in federal prosecutors. So we ended up going to this trial, and I got the federal prosecutor going off. And a team of attorneys was so effective in arguing with this guy that the prosecutor lost it in the courtroom, and the judge kicked him off the case.
Beautiful.
Recused him from the. Oh my God! I was jumping up and down. Holy shit! There's nothing like having a prosecutor leave a case. And so then it allowed me more time to negotiate and go forward. But God, that was, that whole thing took probably 2.5, 3 years. So they wanted to put me in prison for 6 years for 12 extra plants. And
crazy.
And I'm laughing because, and I'm like, come on, man, you guys came over my house and you went to my 215. Well, what the problem was, though, is that it destroys your life. So, like, for me, I had to leave my normal life. I had to go back into the industry to run. I'm a technician, so I can go into the industry to operate other people's projects. I just don't like to. Sure. And so at that time, this would have been like 14 years ago, I had to go back into the industry. I had to go back up into the hills. I had to go back to run these giant diesel operations so I could afford to make the money to pay the attorneys to keep me out of prison for 6 years. And I'm like, look, I'll take a beating, but 6 years is a beating. Yeah, that's a lot of time for 12 plants. And so it was a really, really. But that's a story for many. I mean, Christ, you got people that are doing 20 years for less. So I'm not mad. I kind of see it as I know now what happened. The drug war was really a business that was put upon us. Mm-hmm. but, you know, I was born in 66, so I was basically born when the drug war began. So I'm somebody who lived their whole life within this, and as a 50-year-old man who's still in it, I go, oh, I got you. Very efficient extraction, except that, you know, it was a racially based extraction, and basically I'm black. So I see myself as a black person because I was in the drug net for years, and it was designed to catch basically black people.
Yeah, I know. You know, and that's all that's actually all come out recently. Straight
up, this is the truth.
Yeah, and it was true. Yeah, I mean, they obviously knew it, and everybody knew it, but at the same time, now it's actually been told that that's pretty much why it was created. So you're, and
oh shit,
you're guilty by proxy.
I remember running through a house that was getting raided. And they threw me a bag of pounds and said, literally, as I was running through the house, they threw me the trash bag, and I ran through the house. One of the wives opened up the back door, and I leapt out the fucking window, through the air to an apartment building across the way.
Right.
And I landed in a deck of someone else's building parallel to the one I was in, and covered myself up in the trash so that I wouldn't get caught. And I didn't get caught. Right. So, you know, our world was nothing but freaky shit until basically, to me, about 8 years ago when I took over the dispensary industry, when I got into the dispensary end of it.
Right.
I mean, holy shit, it was as volatile as it could have been, and you were doing your best to be normal, but man, was it an up and down world.
Yeah, I know for sure. And did you, as far as getting in the dispensary world, was it like you went to work for other people, or you just went straight into it and went like to try to do your own?
No, I went in a consulting form initially. I don't really like dispensaries, to be honest. I'm someone who I've been involved in a lot of them. When Oaksterdam was big, there was a lot of dispensaries down then, and so Humboldt was basically feeding the med system, and so we were involved in the feeding of these dispensaries. And so I saw the dispensary industry blossom in the Bay, but I didn't really like the way it was set up because, I don't know, man, I don't have a lot of respect for you hiding behind a wheelchair. You either do your business or you don't. But if you're going to do dispensary business, then you have to be really about the patient. You need to be more compassionate. There should be better pricing. Yeah. You should do a better job. And so for me, I kind of separate the two, where you have a dispensary, but really you're looking to make money. And then there's people who have honest, legitimate dispensaries. Yeah. And they're the kind of the few. Yeah. And so I have a kind of hard view on it. And so a dispensary approached me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about the real. Yeah. I've been in the game my whole life, and if you're going to be hiding behind a wheelchair so you can move some dirty pot, I don't have any respect for you. But if you're trying to be an honest guy or girl, and you're doing a good job, and you got some ethics and some morality here, and you're willing to represent correctly, then you're really a good operator. And so for me, I didn't teach too many. And this dispensary that was one of the oldest in the United States was failing, and they were going out of business. Right. And they asked for some consultant help, and I was like, look, I don't even really like your industry. I'd rather see you guys go out of business, truth be told. Yeah. But I met the owner, and she was a nice woman, and I said, look, I'll give you guys some help. And I helped them out, and I took off to Europe for a vacation. I went over there, and I was in Russia. And I came back, and they said, hey, we're so happy with what you did. Could you just take over the company, basically, and just run our op and just run this business? And I said, hey, that'd be kind of interesting. And I looked at it, and I said, woo, I didn't really know what I was about to get into.
Yeah,
and
probably would have said no. You probably would have said no if you knew what's going to happen. Right?
It was hella humanizing, man. It was hella humanizing because I had not really, I had grown up in a rough area as a kid, and I saw poverty, and I was in Oakland all those years, and I saw rough, but I didn't really see people who were sick and struggling and needy. And so when I got into the dispensary industry is when I really started to see, this huge portion of our population that really rely on cannabis as a integral medicine, right, and how they're so poor they can't afford a damn thing. And it was this unbelievably humanizing experience that occurred where the dispensary helped me better understand what I was supposed to do with cannabis in terms of make it available. And so for me, as I progress forward, what I do is I provide all the CBD clones for free. So I think maybe we gave away, 23,000 of them last year. Right. And so it lets us provide, and then we do all, any information, we'll do all your juicing, we provide the juice, but we try to get all the genes into people's hands. So this way everybody has the access and ability, and it's not so much a financial thing. Yeah. And then you have the other split of the commercial operators that I serve as a nursery operator. So for me, when I got into med cannabis, I never really changed what I did. I was always a large operator on the outside, commercial propagator, commercial cultivator, commercial consultant. Yeah. So when I went med, I just let everybody know that I was at the dispensary. And I let everybody at the dispensaries know that, look, you got a commercial guy here sitting in the building. And if you want to talk to me, I'm down, because this is how we're going to do better together. And it was really an awesome thing, because I think it might have been one of the first times there was somebody that was accessible, that was actually successful. All the other successful guys were busy hiding, and they had to, because they had such risk. But I was operating a very, very well-respected dispensary,
yeah.
And I knew that if I didn't do anything that was improper, and if I did my best, then I could really do some incredible shit while I was in the room.
Yeah.
And we ended up doing it, man. We were able to really start getting people to be able to utilize a dispensary, the people who didn't know how to use them. The information was shared. We started getting, we were able to use it as an incredible gene point, where we could get all these incredible genes into the hands of cultivators, so that we're able to start putting plants that have resistance, plants that have the ability to succeed in the hands of the cultivators. And what you have is you get all these cultivators working with subpar stock, and they're struggling. And so it was really awesome to be able to lift up the whole bar.
Right.
And watch all these people start to produce better cannabis, to have better access, to do different stuff, and we were able to do it, in real time and see it happen. And as that all progressed forward, we were able to eventually get such a momentum that we were able to get we had Gavin Newsom come to my greenhouse. So Gavin Newsom's lieutenant governor in California. So
right.
He tours California for cannabis. He goes to Los Angeles. He goes to Oakland, and he goes to my greenhouse in Garberville. So, the impact of Southern Humboldt and the ripple we through California, and the legitimacy that we've been trying to create for the regulators to understand, look, there's many, many levels of operator, from craft to commercial. There has to be a place for these people. You can't destroy this thing. No one had any idea about how much money was involved until we did the economic index. So I went to work with HSU, and we put together an economic index about 8 years ago, Humboldt State University, and that's what they use as their number in all data, and it's about $500 million. And so the Board of Equalization came up and said, hey, we use your numbers, Kev, but we were able to use our computers, and we got it up to 10 to 14 billion. So you're talking 10 to 14 billion dollars in wholesale reefer coming out of my region.
Right. No, yeah,
we're talking.
It's always been the hub. You know what I mean? That's been the.
Oh yeah, and it's still the hub. But what's nice is that it's been able to get a little bit of an ear on the regulatory end,
sure.
So that at least the laws help maybe reflect some of this scale that's needed. Because the problem, as we all understand, is cannabis is everybody. Cannabis isn't just commercial people. That doesn't really make cannabis. That's just a producer. Cannabis is cultural. It's in your heart. People with a single light in their closet are masters. It's and that's I think what we were able to try to get through to some of these people is that listen, you have no idea how many people actually make money off of this, and there has to be some kind of an understanding of it. But it's scary.
Yeah.
You guys are Colorado. You already went through all this from.
Well, it's
that you are now.
I keep telling everybody when California is, as much as everybody wants this to happen, it is going to be some serious growing pains for everybody, and it's like, it's just part of the deal. Colorado's coming out of that right now.
Yeah.
We're at the point now where it's filtered out. The people that moved to here from out of state that were going gangbusters and sending it back home and all that. All that's kind of getting filtered out. Obviously there's always going to be an underground and none of us can say anything about that. We've all lived it, and so we're all, I think everybody's like, sure, you can do that, but because we're all above ground and we're doing our shit the way we're dictating our own path almost, because the guidance that they have given us has been terrible. Like, it's been, we're all self-regulating. That's the one thing I love about cannabis, and always have been. Like back in the day, if there was a guy selling shitty weed, he wouldn't sell it very long because everybody would say it's shitty weed. Done deal. Now it's the legal side. Same thing now happening where, I tell everybody, I'm a little bit like you probably were up to a point because you obviously jumped into it. I've been in the industry for 25, 30 years, but it's been on the edge because I'm a seed producer and I do hemp clothing and I'm a lifestyle guy and I do everything about it, but I never opened up a coffee shop when I lived in Amsterdam, and I haven't opened up a dispensary when I moved back to America because to me I don't want to ruin the magic. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know what I mean? There's still something there for me. But the minute I'm like every day all dealing with everybody's little issues, because it's like having a bar, you know what I mean? It's like you get to know people. Like,
totally.
Here comes so-and-so, and he's got kidney damage, and, you know, he can only do this, and you got to know that. You know, just you have to, you get, it hurts after a while because you got so much, like you were saying, you've just seen so many people in so many shitty situations. And I, for one, think the one thing about cannabis that's awesome is it's not hard to give away free cannabis to every single person who needs it. It's not hard. We can do that. I can do that 10 times over from like 2 facilities over in America probably, just because the reality is that it's like so many people don't know they need it yet, you know what I mean? But the people who actually know they need it and really need it, I mean, I feel like any facility run properly should be able to give away enough cannabis to take care of all the real patients, and then sustained by the people who can afford to pay for it, you know what I mean? Which is just kind of...
Yeah, no, for real. And that's, you know, we do it at the nursery here where, like, I'm in the virtual epicenter of Southern Humboldt. So, yeah. I mean, I'm surrounded by the largest commercial farms in the planet, and they all pay full price. They don't get any deals, and they know it because they know that I subsidize all med, and they like it because their moms come to me. And their uncles come to me for med help and stuff. And so these guys that are monstrous, they respect it. And it's awesome to be able to see people. To me, that's cannabis, where it's always been that way. If your house burns down, people loan you some money. You got ripped off, you get some pounds.
Yeah. Everybody pays
forward. I love my culture.
Forward. Everybody pays forward a little bit, you know, or they try to at least.
Yep.
And what's cool now is, like, in Colorado, we have a pretty big homeless problem, mostly because of the fact that they all came here because it's cannabis friendly, and they know that if they stand on any road with a sign, they're going to get some money, but they're definitely going to get some weed, and the weed is like way more, you know, beneficial for these guys. So I'm like constantly driving around, every time I always have a few baggies with me ready to go, and you know, I love it. You know, that's like back in the day you would get, you know, arrested for it, but now you're just like, dude, that's legal in Colorado.
Legal,
I can give up to an ounce to anybody I want to. You know what I mean? So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, you could literally cruise around and just give ounces to homeless people all day long if you wanted to, which is probably going to make their day, right?
Yeah. So then, Kevin, speaking of, you said you give out, what was it, tens of thousands of CBD clones. What kind of CBD clones are you working with? What do you like out there?
Right now, I got a pretty good population. I go through lots of different stuff, but for me with clonal stock, I do all the R&D on the farm first, so I run it to make sure it works. Yeah. And so what we have in the shop right now is a variety of ratios. So like I have a nice blue dynamite 10-to-1, and then we have a couple of different 2-to-1s that are nice. Those are through the OG78 line. The aficionado guys did this really neat breed project, but when I was doing a bunch of predicative work on it through the lab, I found these OG78 CBD anomalies. Right. So I found these really freaky cuts that were 20% CBD, 10 THC. And then I found another one that was 14.7. And so those are beautiful because those can be used by people who want 2-to-1s are good for the epileptics when they make them into a super concentrate. Yeah. But for people who want a smoke that relaxes them and gives them enough psychoactivity, this stuff is absolutely pretty nice. It doesn't smoke like any of the haze flavors. It had the OG78s. Okay. They all have a pretty much cushy tone, so it's pretty nice. So those are very popular locally. When Ringo died, Lawrence Ringo, who owned
Southern Humboldt.
Yeah, Ringo was a famous seed guy, CBD guy. Well, me and Lawrence were friends, and so when he passed away, I got a bunch of stuff from him. So I had some Ringo's gift we worked with. We had a Harley Sue we worked with. We have a Swiss Sue we work with. I picked up what else did I get from Lawrence? A couple of nice cannatonics. So we have an 18-to-1 cannatonic, the ACDC. So I kind of work with a couple of different ratios so that you have stuff for people who want no THC, stuff for people who need THC, and some things in the middle, but all of them work really well. Suzy Q, all of these strains do really well outside here, full sun. So it lets all the med people really get a good production and have product that lets them do either extraction, conversion into whatever they want, or just straight flower.
Yeah. Speaking of straight flower, so you're also involved with the Golden Terp, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Terp Awards?
Yeah, we created it.
Yeah. So So give us a little idea on how that's all working out. Because
how the judging works and stuff. How
yeah,
you
the
categorize.
Oh, yeah.
timing
Right?
and everything too. Because I'm curious. I think Mitch and I got invited last year, but we couldn't make it out because we were both out of state. But we definitely would love to come check it out.
Oh no, we'd love to have you guys come on. It'd be cool, man. We were at the shop hanging out one day, and we've been pulling Tarp for years, right? And I said, man, you know what we ought to do? This is my my nursery manager. His name's William Pedro, but his nickname's Zeus. He's Polynesian. And so, I said we should have a light depth competition. And he said, sure. And I said, we'll call it the Golden Terp. And he's like, all right. And I said, now what do we do? Because he's the social guy, I'm not, right? Yeah. And so he takes the idea and he runs with it, and we come up with the Golden Terp, and it lets us have a competition. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to come up with the judging criteria that didn't steal really from anyone else, because I'm involved in a lot of the other competitions, either in judging or in some component, you know?
Sure.
And so I didn't want to jack any of the comps, and I wanted to make it its own. So what I did is I broke it up into terpene categories, and you basically decide yourself how you want to classify it, but it's either fuel, earth, floral, or fruit. And if you break it up into those 4 categories, then each one of those 4 categories, the top 5 in each one, cannabinoid-wise, make it in. And I would have a bigger sift, but I have to have enough ability for the people who I bring in to judge it in one day.
Yeah.
And so to me, a 20-pack, we get it down to a Sweet 16. So I get 16 entries for the judges to look at.
Right.
And when I bring the judges in, I'll bring in, out of the 20 judges I bring in like 5 pros, guys that are industry pros, and then the other 15 are randoms. You just come in and spin this giant-ass spinner, and if you get a gold ball, you're a judge. And so what it does is it lets the 5 pros be in the room with the amateurs, so to speak. Right. But amateurs, to me, are perfect because their opinion is real.
Yeah.
They're telling you what they like and what they don't like. They don't have to have any pre-weight on it. Yeah. And so it allows them now to work collaboratively, and we put them all in this killer-ass area. We have a big party for them in a room, and we make that whole experience like a separate VIP event for the judging. Right. And then we go bring the results in. And it kind of worked out pretty neat where this doctor named Dr. Abrams, he took my statistics from this event, and it broke up to be where cannabis really does basically break up into fuel and floral and fruits and earths or subcategories underneath it. And they just did this huge medical conference on this shit. I'll have to send you guys a copy of this. It was trippy. Right. They were kind of hitting me up on why I broke it up this way, but when they did the statistical analysis, it came out. And so I said, hey, neat. So we have this cup.
They have a lot of like points on the same. You basically hit the right points in the right spots.
Yeah, we hit the right points on it in terms of what was the divisions and the breaks. Yeah. And so it lets us have a cup that, and I let the individuals when they decide because sometimes you come in with an OG, and it's more earthy than fuel, and it might even be so lemony that you might want to classify it as a citrus. Yeah. And so I allow the people to put it in the categories, and really cannabis people are pretty honest. You never see people trying to, like if you go to a floral, you can always go to a low number. Yeah. And so I don't see people taking fuels and entering florals to be smart. Right. Because I'd call you on it. On the stage, I would call you on it and bust your balls. Of course. Just because it's really like, come on, let's just do this, honestly. I don't even know, I compile it all, but I make sure that I don't know what the entry is until I compile it. So at the end of the comp, when I put together the scores, it lets me be surprised. Right. Which is fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I'm involved in the Emerald Cup, so when we judge the Emerald Cup, you're talking 5 weeks of non-stop judging this shit. There's no surprise. I mean, you're just blasting. So for me, it's kind of neat to have this ability to have an event and then not know really who won until I tabulate the judges' scores. Yeah. And what we did is we had an artist named Joyce Centofanti make a stunning bronze sculpture that's probably like 2-3 feet high, and it's a ribbon that wraps in a swirl, and the ribbon connects to the greenhouse and flows off the top of it. So it's a trophy that is, I mean, it's art. Right. It's something that you would be able to take home and really say, listen, I did something. I beat a lot of people who are good at pulling plastic.
That's right. Yeah, well, we have a competition we call the ADSI, which is the Adam Dunn Show Invitational, and it's similar in the sense that we're trying to make everything transparent for everybody, but yet at the same time we want everyone not to know, because what we do is we put playing cards with every strain, so it's like
the Compost one.
So at a certain point, yeah, exactly. So at a certain point, you kind of know what's going on, but you don't know, and you're in a different category. Everybody's in their own 4 groups, which is funny when you said that it ended up into 4 groups. So I'm like, maybe we need to think about how we can combine our ideas a little bit there, because that's a great one, because it really, like right now it's by suit, you know what I mean? So we have the different suits. And the idea with us is that because it's head-to-head, there's no categories. We don't really, if you're a haze and I'm a kush, well, let's just see whose weed is better, because back in the day it wasn't categorized. It was just whose weed is better. Yes,
it's purely what do you like better.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why I like the amateurs in the event too.
Yeah. Well, we have, ours is a mixture of like what we consider people who think they're great growers, people who are great growers, and guys who are just humble and there because they want to be surrounded by other good growers. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the way it breaks down just naturally without us. We don't tell them to do that. That's just the way they do. You know.
No, it's cool. I follow the event. No, I like it. I love the.
But it's funny has doing competitions like same with me. I've been involved with the Cannabis Cup since '93, and helped organize it back in Amsterdam, and then saw the just how hard it is to organize a bunch of stoners in the first place, and if you can complicate it really hard and make it even worse, and then the minute there's any dishonest maneuvering going on, because like you said, people figure out angles. They're like, oh, well, if I just do that, then I'll definitely win, because there's only 3 in there and there's 27 in that category, so I'll just crush them.
Exactly, yeah.
And you're like, no, that's not what it's about. Or I'll buy 100 tickets, and then my people will all judge for me. It's just like, great. That's not what this is about. And so it's hard.
No, totally. Yeah, this is real. If you win this one, it's just like the Emerald too. If you win the Emerald Cup, you won the goddamn thing.
I believe so.
It was. Yeah, there was 750, but you won it, and we can defend. Like, and for me, I journal it all. So this way, when someone said, you didn't smoke my shit, I did a screenshot of the page and said, oh no, I smoked it. It says right here, covered in PM and was mowed. And so
and they're like, no,
maybe you might not want to confront the judge on that.
Yeah.
It's you just want to be able to. My whole thing is I love to see people get their recognition for their work. You know what I'm saying? If you put all that work in, then I'd love to see you be treated fairly. So like when we did the first Golden Terp, Lumpa's headband came in from Lumpa Farms, right? But the problem was it didn't make the cannabinoid cutoff in the category, so it didn't make it into the event. But it was such a friggin' good-looking flower that I gave it an award. I made an award for it and said, look, you didn't make it into the competition, but if I didn't acknowledge this piece of cannabis, I would be stupid.
Right.
And so it's called, I couldn't make it in, but I'm good looking anyways. Right. And we had a whole series of prizes. I mean, Chris, he might have won more stuff than like a second prize. But it was that kind of stuff that when it's to your event, you can bend it to really reflect the truth. That, hey, this is what we're doing and this is what we got, and it allows people to see honest stuff. That's the problem. There's so much smoke and mirrors coming out, and I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Don't get confused. This is real and this isn't.
Yeah, and then the reality is it's like we're now at the situation where there's been so much smoke and mirrors for so long that there's generations of people who don't know because they just were never exposed to the truth. You know what I mean? So now they're all of a sudden...
Oh, exactly.
And they're like but they 100% wholeheartedly believe they're correct because, no, this is a Yoda OG that it's like, no, it's not, dude. It's like, there's no such thing.
It's Granddaddy Terp.
You know what I mean? And I'm looking at it. It's not, But no, this guy told me, and this is what it is. And it's just been,
I know.
He tried to make some money that day. You know what I mean? And that's
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your functional, because one of the big things that people were talking about before we actually got on the air with you was large scale cloning and the techniques involved and how it, how to be successful. Because funny enough, I do consulting, obviously, like we all do, but I also teach. I also teach classes, and I do all sorts of. And really, it's like, wow, do people all ask the same 3 questions? Yeah. LED lighting, cloning, and there's like, it's like and feminization. Those are like my 3 questions I get hit every single time. But tell us a little bit about your technique, because like Rod Kraft, who actually helped us form this entire show, basically said your videos turned his whole program around. You know what I mean? So he was boasting hard. So let's hear some of your techniques.
Nice, man. Tom, thanks. Well, I've been a propagator for a really long time, meaning like large scale prop for a long time.
Sure.
So I've had time to kind of take a little look at it. And after all these years, what I know first is organic moms. You really, if you really want to see, well, we're having in California, you're having a lot of undiagnosed viral problems. I'm working with a bunch of virologists out of HSU and UCLA, and I think maybe Davis. But we have all these little undiagnosed viral problems, and they don't know what they are. It's not TMV. That doesn't test out. It's all this other weird shit. And so what I found is I'm not having these problems, and it's my organic bottom end. And so all my plants in the building are in living soil. We build the soil first. I mean, for years I ran other methodologies, but I'm telling you, the one that gives you the most consistent results with the least amount of trouble is this one. Run living plants. You can do it indoor. Bring your densities down a little bit so that you can tend each plant a little more carefully so that they get a little more care and you're able to keep a little better eye on them. If you're running the organics and you're using compost teas to drive, and you're using compost teas as a foliar for any kind of fungal to drive bug stuff back, where it's going to, the fungal components of your tea is going to actually act as a devourer of egg, you'll be able to get a mom to a situation where it's probably like 95% healthy and clean with nothing else on with the situation. And those plants are basically balanced in terms of all sugar levels. And if I can just make sure that I'm pulling all my even sugar levels off, sugar levels are in terms of carbohydrate. So most people, they don't understand how to test. This is easy. Do a snap test. And what you're trying to do is have all of my plants to have the exact same sugar levels at the same time so that when I strike these clones, every one of them goes through the same speed of transition, where they go and they create the undifferentiated tissue, they dedifferentiate, they form new tissue and go forward. If I can get everything to be at the same sugar level, then what I have is a consistent rate where every tray is basically going to be about, 97% full stick. And they'll all stick, and then they'll all jump at the same rate. And so what the guys in the shop focus on more than anything is just mom health.
Right.
I mean, it really is just mom health. Cleanliness. What we do is we take these plants, and I kind of take a look at the market, and I figure out what the market likes. And I think I understand the market pretty good from just years of doing it. And then I say, all right, let's go find cultivars that work well, the market will like, and then I take cultivars that have the ability to succeed. So I might run 100 different OGs, but I look for the ones that root well, have a good resistance to PM, seem to do well in our climate, finish normal time, and I choose that one. And so what it does is it allows it. I'm a large nursery. I actually feed a lot of small nurseries. So people come to me for their foundation stock. And so all the Craigslist guys, all the dudes on the internet, I'm feeding all of them pretty much because when I go online and look, it's my whole library. Yeah. And so when they come in here, I tell them, hey, if you're going to do this, this is the one you want to use. And they always trip out because they think I would send them the wrong direction. But
classic
it's not
guy.
that. It's a
classic clone guy.
Yeah,
do these because they've got powdered mildew all over them. Have them. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
No.
And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to fill my region with ultra premium genetics, so that my region can compete United States-wide because we fill the U.S. And so I do all the R&D work on what cultivars I want to work with, and then my guys are relentless on the moms. And so I have a nursery staff that they've been with me for years. Some of these guys have been with me 20 years. Some of them used to work for me as little kids Christ trimmers. And now they're men working for me. So I have this group of people who are really about cannabis. I mean, they love this thing as much as I love it, and I send them to school. They get extra education. There's always people coming in. I bring in experts all the time. Anything that's going to let us see ag and understand ag, and then this way it's always rounded them out. And what it does, it allows these guys to keep the plants exceptionally healthy on a food grade level. And food grade to me is like you can come in here and I don't give a shit what testing lab comes in here. Grab any plant in the building, send it to the lab, and there's nothing in here that's contaminated. There's no nasty shit. I don't care how we work around it. I don't need a lawyer to interpret it. It's straight up food grade. It allows us to be able to help other people understand how to do it. And it beat us up for a while too. I mean, none of this stuff is easy, you know that. But we knew that the end result of how do you do clean ag and what's the production numbers from it and what can we expect, it was going to take a minute to work it out. But once we got it to that level, it just changed the whole building, and it changes how the other operations come in, because then they can see that we're functioning, that we're not using anything bad. And so it lets them understand that there's a methodology that works too, and then we'll share it with them. And if people have questions, shit, I'll make you a video and send it to you. My whole thing is, just like you see global cannabis.
Yeah. I
saw hundreds of tons of drugs in person. I know what $1 billion of dope looks like in one room.
Right.
I saw so much that I know that there's no way any of us are going to really bend this thing.
Yeah.
So the best thing I can do is do my best to contribute to the overall good, and the impact will be incredible because I know the scope of it. And so far it's worked really well.
Yeah.
So we run a nursery like a normal, nursery, not a cannon nursery, because cannon's usually so closed information.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so, for instance, what is your medium of choice? What are you doing?
The medium of choice is, right now we're using something called it's a Ball 3 Metro mix. It's just a basic commercial mix. It's basically inert. I like peat, and even though it's and cores are good too, but cores tie up mag and tie up calcium a little bit. It's got a peat base with some compost, so there's nothing in it. And then from there, we're going with biochar. I go with the high worm component. We'll go in with, I can either make a full-blown mix myself, or I can use this product called Green Bicycle Mix, which is an organic mix designed to be mixed in. Mm-hmm. And then we can use that as the base. And then I go top dress with booze blend compost.
Okay.
And then I use a compost tea where we run it through the plants full strength every week. And I usually do an organic top dress once every 3 to 4 weeks. So once I build the bag, I probably have 6-7 months with the mom before I have to really pull it. And we cycled the moms out. I mean, I've had moms live for years, but they get to a point where they've just had too much stress accumulation.
Sure. Yeah, I tell people
too heavily.
I tell people, like, I got grandmas and I got moms. I got the moms I do is like working moms. They're like working moms, you know what I mean? And then the grandma is a contributor to the working moms, you know what I mean? Kind of something like that.
Exactly. There's a base library, and then there's beds that work, and the production beds are very specific, and those beds they're very well tended, and because they're so crucial. But the same thing, it's about every 3 weeks we have to go through a top dress. The compost tea mixes, I think, is really the key on it, because it allows us to drive that biology, and it's basically a bacteria fungal 50-50. So that because I use it as a foliar too. So every week guaranteed, I'm running through the root ball, and I'm running through the top end, and it allows me to have this plant that's just unbelievably alive. So I mean, my compost tea maker loves me because I'm buying this stuff by the truckload. But it's keeping my plants at a level of vitality right now that I'm just amazed at the color coming out of the building. So, this methodology is something that you can get your hands around. And for as many years as we've been growing, all of us, if you didn't use chemicals, you basically weren't a grower. I mean, shit, it was almost the rite of passage when you got your first container of Avid. I got my first Avid bottle. And then there's, 18 different, categories of spray now, and none of this stuff is meant for us. And we just knew this years ago. We knew, I bet probably 10, 11 years ago, me and the guys were like, look, everything we're doing is good except spray on top. And so we started really trying to, how do we diminish it? And so much of it was through cultivar selection. Yeah. You got to find, some strains just don't want to be friendly for you in that location, so you don't work them.
So what kind of IPM do you use to help maintain the, to help keep your healthy mothers? What are your techniques to help keep them going?
What other stuff do I use to keep the moms healthy?
And you said you use
I love supplemental. I love supplemental light, and I love having the moms. I don't like any mom being indoor only. Moms should not be inside only.
So you'll do an outdoor with supplemental?
Yeah. I love full sun on plants. I used to get all these plants out of SoCal, so I used to collect. You collect all the hot cuts, and they were always haggard. And when I put them into the greenie with Living Biology and Natural Spectra, the difference was dramatic. And then I got to do all these light research projects with Heliospectra. So Heliospectra is a LED company, a massive one out of Sweden. Yeah. So I was their guy that did all their initial tests in North America. So I did all their initial. Yeah. So for a couple of years, I did all their R&D in the U.S. And then they would come over, and then I'd take them up to the farm, and we'd measure the sun coming reflecting off of the plants up the hill. So they were trying to use my farm as like a baseline for good sun production. And I mean, it was a fantastic experience. But the bottom line is sun's sun, and you can't get around it. And so I just noticed that any of these cuts or any plant that if I want to see it maintain health, then if I can bring it outside in the summertime, I can run it indoor completely without a single issue for a full year. But if I keep running it after that, I start to see a decline in the overall vigor of the plant. And so once I bring it back outside, I reboost it. And it's just really, living biology and sun, shit we don't understand pretty much.
Yeah, no, it's interesting too when you bring a plant from the inside to the outside, and it's like about 24 hours later, you're just like, it's a fucking different plant sometimes. You know, you're just like,
oh yeah.
You know, just got so literally like I think a week ago we did the same thing. I brought some plants that have been only indoors their whole time, brought them out to the hoop house, you know, and just let them sit there for a little bit. And it was that perfect day where it was kind of cloudy anyway and everything, so there was no chance of them not liking it. But by the end of the day, they looked like they were telling me that they were just like, thanks for letting us out into the real world. You know,
oh yeah.
It's so obvious, and I think you know, it's with a lot of things, if you have the benefit of being able to, I mean, we've lived in the shadows so long and hidden and only grown indoors, but lately, with the ability to grow combos, greenhouse, indoors, outdoors. Are you working with other lighting like LEC, like ceramic metal halides or any of these other technologies?
Yeah, we did. We just ordered some CMHs so we can play with those. I have a bunch of the induction lights.
Yeah, wasn't a big fan of the induction myself, but.
Yeah, you know what I like the inductions for is they work well for UV hardening of starts.
Okay.
So because they don't throw a lot of heat off,
right.
And so I can lay them over beds and I can get a low heat signature, but I can get a good UVB component so that when I take the plants out of that hardening, it lets me go outside, and I don't have to run the same. So we think the CMH should replace it and a little more efficiently too. So we'll find out. You know how it is, man. You got to be on the leading edge, not the bleeding edge.
Exactly. But at the same time, you got to go with what works. Once you get something that works, you got to stick with it too. That's the hardest part, you know. If you're constantly bouncing.
Another one too. Don't take more than like 35% of the canopy off the plant at once.
Yeah.
Like when people are doing clone work, it's better to have more moms than work a mom too extensively. People don't understand that the root system and the shoot system have a balance.
Yeah, and you got to take away some of that if you want to cut that plant back so bad. You got to actually take it.
Take the root ball out.
Exactly.
You got to pull the root ball off. Yeah, you got to cut the root ball back. And so when people get really, excessively aggressive on the moms, I'm like, you realize you got to cut the whole plant back now. And so it's just, gentle is nice. We're always so aggressive and rough, like forcing things to happen. And I think with propagation, it's all a very gentle, juvenile patience. One thing people need to be aware of is that you get a radically different strike rate if you have calcium present in your media. So if you only need to do like 15 ppm, but you can get, most times you can get right out of your tap water, but some tap water doesn't have any, so you check. But a little bit of calcium, as soon as the plants start to form their callus and undifferentiated tissue, if there's any calcium present that can touch it, it instantly strikes the root. The speed is dramatically different.
Nice.
So those are some good little pieces,
Sure. I mean, that's one of the things too. It's like, what I tell people too is just like, it's like part of it making clones and is being comfortable with yourself making clones, because a lot of people get like overthink it and they push it too hard. I always spray my plants a lot beforehand with just plain water, just to sort of leach them a little bit and suck them out, make them a little more tender, not so rough. You know what I mean, as far as callus. And it's. As everybody, you'll have moments in time where it's just like nothing works. You're like, oh my god, what's going on? It's like this, and it's usually, again, go back, it's the health of the mom in the first place. And
then some plants just really, really, really have a very, very specific carbohydrate level they strike at. So let's see, what was a strain that was a strange one we had here back in the day? Albert Walker, the old Albert Walker out of Utah, Idaho, wherever it was from. I swear to God, the guy that brought the cut to me said, please, you do this and hold it to me because nobody can prop it. And so I could get it to prop, But I'm telling you, everybody I gave the plant to couldn't propagate it, and that's why you don't see Albert Walker in any kind of form. Just like Louis XIII OG Kush. Louis XIII is an incredible cutting of OG, but Jesus Christ, man, it is not propagation friendly. And so when people harden the mom a little bit, and then they get a 0 stick rate.
Exactly. No, and OGs are pretty notorious. Most of them, at least, were pretty notoriously hard to root compared to some other plants, and it's funny. It's funny when you imagine how many great strains didn't get grown properly because of that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
exactly.
Guess we're doing Blue Dream again. You know, and you're like, well, yeah, that's
because they couldn't get the cuts. Yeah, because Blue Dream will root in your hand.
Exactly. You know, and you get plants like that just root like crazy. And I always felt like it was a little bit of a give and take, because there was a situation where at one point all my shit that I thought was the bomb would be the hardest to root, and all my shit that was just like was like rooting before I could even cut it off the plant. You know what I mean? I'd be like, all right, great, thanks. You know, like I know that'll root. You know, but yeah, I think success rates are based a lot of time also seasonal too. I mean, what do you think about like making cuts in the spring compared to making cuts in the winter? You have totally different, even different conditions.
You know, if we stabilize it, I mean, we can climatically stabilize the spaces so we don't have the same environmental impact that direction, but you definitely get it for moon cycles.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, more like that.
Yeah, ooh, you definitely get, and so, I mean, we have old hippies that come in that ask me if I could please cut their order on the moon day. And if it's a small order and I know them and they're, I can do it, I will. But most part, it's impossible to cut on cycles because you're cutting the building on a building cycle. But then when we started to really, you're charting all this shit, and I started taking cut dates that were from optimal planting times based off of moon pressure, and you notice that the stick rate was far better. So, I mean, like, I do all my outdoor planting based off of that. Everything that goes outside on wax and moons.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I follow moon cycles for almost all, for all my outdoor outdoor work, even when I initiate depths and stuff like that, because gravity is present with it too. It all feels it.
Yeah.
But it's just, when you're running when you're running this many clones, these things are on cycles where it's every day you're producing.
Sure.
So every day the crew is chopping something. It's a never-ending production. And so sometimes you'll see some loads that are a little off, and we'll take a look and we'll say, ooh, this one was where we cut it on the worst moon day possible.
Right.
And so sometimes, if you can get your shit together, you can kind of look at the cycle first and put it as an overlay. But you know how it is, man. You're running as fast as you can just to keep your shit together.
The lucky ones are the ones that just get cut on that. I mean, yeah, they're
yeah. And they love them. The people who get those trays are stoked.
Exactly. It's like any time when you were packing a bag of weed and you're like, man, you almost don't want to pack it because you're looking at something like, fucking lucky guy got this piece right here. You know what I mean? But it goes.
Yeah, he's getting a good one.
Push it forward, Did you, okay, so as far as your general maintenance on your clones, how many are you producing at any given time? Like, at the one facility, let's say?
Oh, shit. I don't even know if I should say those numbers out on the radio.
Okay.
You go.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot.
A lot.
I think we might be the biggest in California.
Yeah. Well,
right now.
That's the biggest in the country as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, we're pretty good size. Well, and it's kind of cool, and we've been growing at a good rate every year, and it's what's really neat is that it's awesome to be able to be in a place where people can find you so normally. So now, you get to have mainstream cats come here and come buy their stock and hang out, and you get to see them year after year, and it's really neat to see them develop into canna people. Yeah. Like you guys already saw it, but for us, it's a new thing. To me, if you're in cannabis, you're in cannabis. But now we're seeing population coming in, and because of the normality of it, it's just awesome for us to see all these people moving through, and because they're cool. They're really the 95% of people I deal with are awesome. My shop I couldn't be any luckier, for Christ's sakes. I mean, I get nice people I work with, and our local area is filled with just they're lunatics, but I love them. They're the liveliest human beings on earth, man. Humboldt County is just an adventure in itself.
Oh, for
so
sure.
Just to do it here is just so cool.
Yeah, it's one of those places. It's when you're driving there, and I also noticed too, like even the density of the plants is different. You know what I mean? Like as you start to kind of come around, like everything starts to become denser and like, I don't know, just you're like,
Yeah.
I feel it.
And steeper.
I feel it.
Yeah, it's steeper. Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's an interesting part of the world. And
Hell yeah.
so, how about New England? What's your? You go back a lot, or now that you're?
No, I don't. Most of my family passed away. See, I'm old New England, and almost all the family passed away. But we've been there for like 300 years. We still got the same house.
Wow.
Like, literally same house. So there's nobody to go home to, you know. And so I keep track with my mom, and I have my mom come out and visit.
Craziest
but
part.
my mom, she's New England, man. She doesn't want to move out here.
Craziest part is after talking to you, and we had a guest, was another guy that I got to know, who is not a cannabis guy yet, but he's about to be. But you ever heard of Ron Wallace?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Ron Wallace is the current world record holder for giant pumpkins, and he's from Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah, I know you. Yes, about tea.
And he's from Rhode Island. Yeah, he does the WOW Tea, exactly, the WOW Tea guy. So he is Rhode Island based, and he's literally, you know, going for the next world record. He's got a whole crew of pumpkin kids who, that's all they do. They sit around and like literally crunching numbers, mathematicians. You know, they're like they take pumpkins so seriously, but yet at the end of the day, what's the fucking end game? You know what I mean? You made the biggest gourd in the world, and you're like, whatever. You know, like we're producing plants that cure cancer and shit. So I mean, we're like, I feel a little like we're contributing more, but I think that's part of the reason why him and his crew are now looking at the cannabis. And I feel like if we could get you two together, you guys would blow, you know, the world away, because he's taken it his first attempt right now. So I told him, you know, I will definitely try to help him along the way, but I would love to link you two guys together, even if it's just on the phone for a little while, because you probably...
Yeah, that'd be cool. No, I'd love to talk to him, because I got a pumpkin going right now.
I think he's
we're going to do a little giant pumpkin.
I think he's the same age as you two, Rhode Island guys, so you'd be like, oh my God, you know, now we know.
Classic.
You guys probably banged the same chick, you know what I mean, back in the day.
She won't admit it.
I'm telling you, I'm sure it happened. You never know. It's Rhode Island, man. So
it is, man, Rhode Island.
Well, you making it out to Colorado anytime soon? You make it out here at all?
Man, I'd love to. You know, it's just that this season is just, I'm drowning. I was up in Washington. I went up to Washington a bunch to check out some of the stuff. They had me come up to speak at a couple events, and I went and toured some of the farms and checked out some of the industry, and then we're just right now. I'm just drowning. Right now, I'm drowning in work. But I would love to come to Colorado. I know I got a friend, Chip Baker, who used to own Royal Gold. He has a couple of Royal Gold is a soil company out here in Humboldt, but he moved to Colorado, and he has a couple of I think grow stores that he has. And he said, "You need to come out here, Kevin, take a cruise." And I'd love to come on and check you guys out, man.
Yeah, we'll definitely, hopefully, you know, we know how it is this time of year. This is like you ain't going anywhere. No. But definitely when it's a little bit toned down for the workload and stuff, we'd love to show you around here, show you what's going on. I mean, it's...
Oh, I'd love to. And you guys got to come on to Humboldt County, man.
We will.
I know you've been there, but yeah, we'll show you a good time too, man. It'd be a blast.
And I would love to come to Golden Terp. So what is the dates of the Golden Terp?
October 1st.
October 1st. And basically that's just to give everybody time for it to cure properly and have not be all...
Exactly. We give you enough time to get your stuff dried out, so this way it's not forcing it.
Yeah.
And... It's so we do it right here, and it's in Redway, and I'm keeping it at the Mateo. We want to keep everything local so that the events in Soham, because Soham is its own place, and when people come to Soham, they get to feel it. And so I don't want the event. I want the event to be like old reggae, where you basically better buy your ticket now because you won't be able to get in if you don't.
Sure.
And so instead of trying to keep growing it bigger, we just want to make it, refine it, but keep it in the same place with the same, old school feel.
Yeah, and you're going to stick to the 16 entry levels. And
stick to the 16, because this way it works. I don't want to overlook the judges, and I know that I really like the fact that people who aren't pros can come in and do it, and then they get some help if they get a little overwhelmed. I like that. I call them regular people, but for us, we see it all. That's all we do is touch high-end shit. And I'm just like, man, the mainstream never gets to see what we see. They never get these privileges, and I would just love for regular people. I wish that when I was just a regular guy, I could have went someplace and got some VIP access without having to sell my soul.
Yeah.
And that's what we kind of want to give them.
Too bad you'll never be a regular guy again. Huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know it. It's done, man. It's done, but it's all right. I'm happy where I'm at.
That's not happening for sure. Yeah, no, it's awesome to see. I think the reason why Rod wanted us to get you on the show was he basically just said, wait till you hear, this guy he's passionate, and that's kind of what we are. we're all passionate about what we do. We love this plant. We love helping out people. It's always nice when you can do something that's like, hey, it's fun to do and it actually helps people. I mean, there's very few things in this world that do both. Most of the time and of course, and make a career out of it. I mean, we all.
Oh yeah,
didn't have the specialization that we have now these days.
It's like it's hard. It's hard in this industry to like make an honest buck anymore, just because there's so many other guys totally raping it and trying to make it. Just making it always so that every time you come to somebody with an honest deal or something, they're like, really? What's in it? There's a catch. There's got to be a catch. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, dude.
No, short term, no.
You're
that's
like,
the thing. Is always
here. It's free, dude. Take it. You know what I mean? I don't even care anymore. So a lot of times I think, it's all about paying forward. And I mean, you guys are doing a huge service by producing quality genetics that people can trust. And I was also saying earlier that one thing about making clones is it looks good on paper. It's a hell of a lot of work. And at the end of the day, it seems like when you have them, a lot of times when you have them, nobody needs them, and when you do, so then you end up throwing away trays of clones or giving them away or whatever you got to do, and it only takes one massive disaster on your mom's or something going along, and everybody blames you for every fucking thing that goes wrong. That's what.
Yeah. If we have a joke here where if you did well, it's your genius, but if you fucked up, it's my fault.
Exactly. No, that is the classic. That is the clone mentality.
Yeah.
And you don't get the credit when you need it, and you're like, you do realize that the reason it did so good is because I took care of it all the way up until I handed it to you, and then and that's one of the things I was asking about the medias earlier, because I've had times where I like certain things to make clones, but I can't ever give it to anybody, because if I give it to them in that particular fashion, like I'll actually, if somebody wants clones, I'll give it to them in Rockwool, because I know that doesn't matter what they're going to put it in, it'll work. But if I'm going to do it for myself, I'd rather do it in like like a Root Riot or something like that that's a little bit more organic. The problem is that they dry out so weirdly that if you hand it to somebody, they're going to go home and they're going to leave it behind they're going to get home.
And they're going to kill it.
Yeah, they're going to go home, put it down, go eat something, do some dabs, do this, do that, then come back to it tomorrow, and you're like, what? No. It's like a heart, dude. You got to get that thing in as quick as possible. You know what I mean? Like, boom, heart transplant. But they don't think that.
Yeah.
A lot of them just think,
no.
And at the same time, that's when all the damage goes down, too. I mean, making clones is like being a daycare center for babies, you know what I mean? And you can damage them pretty badly at that point if you really wanted to, you know what I mean? Or if you don't pay attention.
Yeah, buffered.
Yeah, you just don't
buffered. And we harden them up though too. Like we get them ready for you so they can go. And then if I don't think that they're able to take, depends on how much sun and what time of the year. But we're pretty clear about it, so that if I've UV'd them, they're UV'd. And if we haven't had a chance to UV it because you need them right now, then I'll let you know to make sure you put them under some rainy. Right. And it just lets the people prep it, and it's been kind of cool. What I've done for years is I kind of serve as I am a master gardener, but from the UC, but I serve as a master gardener here, where I don't care if you buy my plants or not. I'll still answer your questions. So I have rivers of cats coming here all the time for gardening questions, and it's cool because it lets them have a place to come and work through their issues.
Right.
And it's cool to be part of something bigger than you. It's a greater good.
Now, I think we should take this time to quickly shout out some sponsors real quick, because we got some more questions about sharing some information for you. So
okay, so we're gonna do a quick shout out to our sponsors, and we'll get right back. And then we only got a short amount of time after that, so then we'll let you go.
No worries, man. I'll just chill on the phone.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
Easy.
Let's start out with our buddies over at Way to Grow,
the
largest grow shop in Colorado, grow chain, I should say. They have 7 locations all over Colorado. Latest one up in Silverthorne. Biggest and my favorite is the 1051 Platte River, just because they have concentrate corner also, in case you need to get any concentrate gear, and the fact that it's 20,000 square feet and has everything you need. And my buddy Tyson works over there, so I love it. Grabs. Make sure you, on the way out, to get yourself a discount, add Adam Dunn Show. And if you really want to specifically, one of the products that we're only allowed to have, hopefully they'll still have them. They had the Phantom Ceramic Metal Halides for $3.99, normally $4.99, and they had the Hortolux Blues 1,000 watt, which were normally $239 for $139.
Oh yeah.
And those ones you have to say ADS Blue for the Hortolux and ADS Phantom for the Phantom Lights.
Yeah, and the 30% off the early and often pest prevention sale. Get that IPM going.
Yep, so pest prevention sale going on right now.
Do it.
30% off.
Start now.
All of their IPM programs and stuff. And again, grab some candy on the way out.
Speaking of
Take
candy.
the wrappers with you, though.
Speaking of candy.
And as you're in the candy mood, you can always pick up some incredible candies. I can't call them candies. Incredible infused
Incredible
edibles.
infused
Sorry.
Incredibles.
No candies. No candy.
Pick up some Incredibles.
About, I don't know, like 15 flavors now. They're just killing it on the last Cannabis Cup. They won 3 top ones. Was their CBD Black Cherry, which I haven't tried yet. I can't wait to try that.
Yeah, it's really good.
And their Pistachio Mint, which is unbelievable. Fireberry, like my favorite for the habanero. That's a top one right there. And also check out Incredible Extracts if you see them available in any of your dispensaries. They have the black and gold label. Gold label would be your in-house production, and their black label is their own. And I think they won first place also in that category, and it was that cream soda, or orange soda. Sorry, orange soda.
Orange soda.
Yeah, orange soda. Unbelievable. So if you see that one, if you see that flavor, grab it.
Hit it up.
And our friends over at Build a Soil, right?
Oh, yeah. Build a Soil.
Right
Jeremy,
now
working hard. Springtime.
It is springtime. If your organic go-to place, anything small, handmade, artesian soil batches, they have Cladamus Coots program there. They've got top dressings. They've got hard-to-find products. What's also nice with them is you got any questions, just get on, send them a question, and they'll get back to you as soon as possible. Right now, though, I can guarantee you it's going to be hard to get them on. They're swamped. They're going to want you to leave a message.
Much like Kev is.
Oh, I checked.
Busy.
Super busy. I mean, it's like they're supplying a bunch of our friends with some large amounts of soil, so we know what they're involved with right now. But anyway, buildasoil.com, or no, is it .com or .net?
It's buildasoil.com.
Buildasoil.com.
Totally. Yep.
I can't see over there, but anyway.
No. Or it's 855-877 soil.
Yep. To get a call directly to those guys.
Yep. Get your custom.
Say hi to Jeremy if you can get him on the phone.
Yep.
Right now it's tough. And our buddies over at Dark Horse. Working. Pumping out some great extracts. Genetics coming around the corner too. I'm doing a little bit of a collab with them right now with THC, so give us a few months. We'll be out having some first rounders of that. Also,
the concentrates and all that stuff
concentrates are flying right now. They're medical only, so if you have to go to if you want to get some, you're gonna have to get them on the med side. And keep your eyes out. Also, they still, it's the wrong time of season right now, but probably get a good deal on the last couple hoodlums. They got about 2 or 3 left, so grab them, give them a call. And that's darkhorsegenetics.com.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now I'm kind of getting thirsty, which, speaking of our next
thirsty
sponsor, we're empty. Yeah, Growstone's made 2 of them. 2 down.
2 down. I think KTI is going to go pick us up 2 more
beers on the way,
so we can contribute to the Growstones, which are made out of 100% recycled glass. So every time you drink a beer, you're making yourself some more Growstones. What a deal! What a win-win situation for the world. But also, beautiful thing about these Growstones, they don't float, so you don't have that same situation of having all your perlite at the top of your pot and all your bottom of your pot getting compacted. They're 100% American made. And they also have a thing called Nat Nix, which is basically a smaller, almost perlite-sized pieces, and you create a barrier, a physical barrier, so that the gnats cannot breed. And for all those, that's like we all know, those sometimes it's just those little minor details, like everything in your room is great except you got these damn gnats. They're one of those ones. But nothing. There's no chemicals in those at all. Totally inert. You can go to growstone.com and see the entire line.
Great products.
And I believe next week we're going to actually have, or we're shooting for either next week or the week after to have our final bio versus
Jeremy versus the doctor.
Exactly. And so we will have Growstone. We're going to bring 2 of our sponsors together to battle it out once and for all. Not coming to any conclusions because you can't, because everybody can grow however the fuck they want to grow. Yeah,
everybody will end up being right.
Everybody will be right. It'll be great. Yeah. It'll be a win-win. But at the same time, we'll be able to bring up a lot of good points, because there is Water conservation is one of the main things that people have to think about too. So sometimes there is situations when you want to grow properly on hydro, but at the same time, we know us. We love organic, so it will be in Jeremy's corner. But then at the same time, we all love to see things that are producing quality production stuff, which is what Grossman's all about, quality.
Yeah.
And don't forget our buddies over at Hydroponic Research, which is the guys who produce Veg and Bloom. They're all-in-one, very easy program. There is, when I say all-in-one, it's actually a 4-part program. One being foliar, one being rhizosphere with your plant probiotics of the Life program, and your flowering enhancing program, which is called Shine. So it's not just one, but we call it all-in-one because the most of the main components is your base nutrients, and that is all-in-one. Great production stuff, also great for large scale, keeping everything real clean and simple if you're coming at it from that angle. So you want to cover all bases here, you know what I mean? And they are, hydroponicresearch.com is the link to check out their stuff. And hopefully we're going to have them on the show in a couple of weeks. We had Joe on last week.
Yeah, it was a great show last week, Joe.
So if you want to check out,
dropping knowledge.
he talked a lot about that product last week. So if you want to go back, haven't heard it, take a look. And our buddies over at
SeedsHereNow.com.
SeedsHereNow.com, representing some of the best genetics out there. We're going to have him on the show soon too. Gets a couple more of his breeders on here. Recently, we had the guys from La Plata on here. We had Swamp Boys a few episodes back. We've had a few of them, but we definitely want to kind of get through some of his. So James, I know you're listening. Start organizing next week's show. We also had DJ Short via him. So now you don't have to do next week's show, but just start putting it together. We love to talk to your guys. One thing with those guys too is everything is direct from the breeder. I mean, it comes through him, but it's direct as far as he deals with them all on a personal level. So it's no resellers. And take a look at them at seedsherenow.com, and also check out their app, which he just put out, I think, about 2 weeks ago. So it's fresh. Get on the app, start, and one thing I love about these guys is that their turnaround's quick, and they stand behind everything. If you guys ever have any issues, you have seeds that'll sprout, doesn't matter what company it is, he will replace them. So good guys, good service,
good team,
exactly, and expanding at all times. So. And that was it, I think, right?
Oh, that's all.
That's all.
That's
of our
all
sponsors.
our wonderful sponsors, but that's plenty of them. We're grateful for every one of them.
Oh, definitely are. So, Kev, back to you for a little.
We were talking about sharing knowledge, and was it the Ganjier?
Oh yeah, tell us
about
about
that a little bit.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, the Ganjier, he was funny. I was in the house talking to my son, and I said, who am I? Because we have all these weird names put to us, dope grower. And he laughed and he said, Dad, you're a Ganjier. You're a cannabis culturalist. Mm-hmm. And I thought the name was just so apropos. I said, damn. I said, let's go and form a little blog so we can talk to other Ganjiers. And what we started doing was we started realizing if we put together a little connection spot to where we could get what we would call cannabis professionals, a place to kind of have a place to talk, mm-hmm. then it would allow us to find people that we thought were valuable but unheard, and having that site allows us to take people and promote them. So it's kind of cool. We got a friend like Casey O'Neill, and Casey is he's somebody that we thought just needed to be seen because he's a CSA farmer who does cannabis farming in addition. So he's this combined farmer, mm-hmm. and so Casey.
Bugger. We lost the call.
After all,
we're going to call him back.
Man.
We're calling him back. Do.
Oh, man.
Anyway. Oh, man.
Oh, you need Skype credit.
Skype credit, so what are we doing?
Say, Kev, let's call back. Didn't he call us first time, right?
No,
yeah,
we called. Did he?
Yeah, he called us, I remember.
Kev,
give us a call back if you can, if you hear us. Hopefully we can get to talk to Kev.
We're going to get to Kevin right now.
I tell you, him and Ron Wallace, they got to get together. This is it. I figured it out, and I know my guy Cameron out there, if he's listening to the show, he knows what's up. So he needs to get in touch with Ron and tell him to listen to this episode because he may realize that this is the guy right here that they can get together with and rule the world with large pumpkins and giant cannabis. Let me check. So, you're texting with him right now?
Yeah, I got a text out to him. So we're going to get him to call into the show.
See if we can. I mean, we're actually at the time.
Yeah, we're pretty much there, but, it'd be nice to...
Be nice to wrap it up with him.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get him and see if he's got something. The wrap out and the shout-outs. And Ganjier-ness.
So, let me see. And, there he is, right in the nick of time.
Hey, Kev.
Okay, this is Kev's assistant. I'm going to hand it over.
Oh, sweet. Awesome.
Aha.
Man. There you go, man. Sorry about that.
No,
We just
thanks,
dropped
Kev.
the line.
That's okay. That was not bad for the whole show. We only did it once, right?
Hey, yeah, no, the Ganjier was cool, man. It was something that we put together so we could get people that we wanted to be able to have a voice that didn't have a voice. So it lets us take all these small farmers and small people and different individuals and let them talk about stuff they want to talk about. And so I guess it's our way of trying to get local people together and people I meet that want to have a place to have conversation. And we vet them so that everyone on there is pretty legit. And if you're on the Ganjier, more than likely you're talking at some of the events I'm putting on because I'm using you as expert. And so it's a neat situation where it lets us kind of help people out, develop their persona, so to speak. But it's all legit shit. It's all legit people.
Cool. No, it's good now because I think a lot of people are. It's as the industry opens up and as these places, you see experts everywhere. Everyone's an expert. Everyone's this, and you can only. It's interesting because people like us, I mean, we kind of have a better idea maybe if some of these people are experts because we might have wait a minute, that guy's definitely not an expert. At the same time, there's a lot of talent out there that's not being utilized just because they are still working on the old style. They're a little bit reluctant, and as things open up, it gets really crazy because within a year you'll find yourself lost, gone. You're that's it. You just after 20 years of putting in time. Just because you didn't pay attention for a year, all of a sudden everyone else is filled in all the positions and things are you can't get a job because you got busted back in the day or whatever happens. There's always and so a lot of the best growers, especially in the beginning here when they were saying that if you had a felony, it didn't matter if it was cannabis related or not, you couldn't get in the industry. A lot of my friends just left, you know what I mean? And they were the best growers that could have helped get this thing going, but they were well, guess I'm out. And then a year later they realize their mistakes and well, if it's cannabis related, we can of course, deal with it because it makes sense. You were growing weed and now you're not allowed to grow weed. I was come on. Kind of the crazy reversal where the only people that were allowed to grow it were the people who had no experience, so. Exactly.
Yeah. No, it was dispensary owners couldn't, they call it the D'Angelo bill where if you can't, they're putting the bill in because you're not supposed to have a dispensary if you have a felony. And so the irony of it is that so many of us in the industry are that's what we spend our whole lives. Basically, if you got in trouble, it means you were busy working.
Exactly. It should almost be you got a pass to go further up. Oh, okay.
Well,
You got busted for that much? Oh, great. You keep going.
Oh, you're real. Yeah, you're committed. Yeah, you're a committed grower.
Yeah, you were not.
So the Ganjier. No, so the Ganjier was cool like that, and it's just neat stuff. We're just trying to. We have so much going on for ourselves with the farm and the business and the stuff, but man, it's trying to use your momentum to help drive the community forward too, and so we can do cool stuff. And because we've been really open for years, people have pretty good trust in us. And so they don't look at me like I'm trying to peel them when I ask them, hey, if you want to participate in this, it's a good piece. So it lets me, we do all kinds of educational stuff, and I'll take these people that I think are really sharp but aren't known yet, and then we'll put them on a stage and back them up, and then this way you can get really intelligent people into our industry. Sure. And it's working. Here in Humboldt, we have there's some really sharp people that are working in cannabis right now that were not in cannabis prior, and I'm digging it.
Nice.
Most of the cannabis people are like refugees, for Christ's sakes. They failed in something, then they come into cannabis, and they always let me know, I'm in cannabis for a year now. I'm here to do something. And you're like, you know what? You failed in your job,
right.
And now you're over in my industry telling me about how you're gonna fix my industry, and you can't even hold a job.
Right. No, and there's a lot more pitfalls that these people don't get because they haven't been doing it. So you're like, that's not going to work. You know what I mean? It's interesting to see too when it's somebody's really green and really fresh, and they're telling you their great new internet thing they're going to build that's going to tell you what kind of weed you should smoke or whatever it is, and you're like, that's not going to work, dude. It's like the data is too much, and it's too much variables, and everybody's different, and the reactions are going to be different, and it's like your machine's going to tell them every time to do the wrong thing, and you're not going to get anywhere. It's
going to pick a woman too. It's like having the machine pick your woman.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? It can't happen. Everybody has their own tastes, and certainly, it's so distinct, and especially when it comes to medical, it's even more because now you're actually breaking laws by telling people that things are going to cure certain. You can't do that. That's like I tell people, it's like you probably want to get away from almost the word, even though we appreciate the fact that it has medical applications. It definitely works. We know things work, but we can't say it. You know what I mean? Like if you start saying it, you're going to put yourself out because you're like, that's not legal to do with anything. That's what happened with ginseng. That's what happened with a lot of things where, it's out.
Yeah, it's improperly advertised.
All of a sudden, it's out of our hands because some guy's like, it cures cancer. It cures.
Well, that's why the FDA was sending out those stuff to them.
So you have to be really careful with what you say, but at the same time, doesn't mean we're going to stop. Applying it, and we use it as much as possible.
Yeah, for me though, I try when I as a dispensary owner, you get people that come here that are in serious condition, and what I try to do is I try to be honest with them. I try to tell them, and what I tell them is I'm here to help you, and I'm here to do whatever I can do to help you, and I'll go as far as we can go together. But other than that, that's it. That's the only promise I can make. I don't have a fucking clue if this is going to work. And the honesty of it seems to help the people so much because then they can say, okay, together we can try. And I'm like, yeah, together we'll try. Sure. And then you can begin the struggle. But, when I'm having problems, don't lie to me. That doesn't make me feel better.
Sure.
And I think that people want to see the product work so well that they're like, you'll cure it. And I'm like, stop. You're telling people, just wait a second. We don't even know what's going to happen with them.
Right.
And let's just find out, can we help them, and what do we do, and how do we work with it? Because otherwise you're taking people on this emotional ride, and the problem is that you're going to get off of it, but they're going to die with it. They don't get off that emotional ride, so I'm kind of cautious with it. And so people know to come to me for assistance, but I'm always honest about it. Like, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm a career dope grower who's serving in this weird gray area medical position.
Yeah, no, it is funny.
It's nuts. Most of the med doctors ask me for advice.
I know, and it's weird when people call, I get emails all the time from people that are like, in desperate situations, and then it's like they don't have medical, and it's like, as much as I'd like to help every single person, there's only certain ones I can, and there's some that you can give them some advice, and sorry, I can't break laws and start sending you weed to Missouri. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. You know what I mean? But
I can't do this. I know. I get the same thing too. It's never ending. Like Simpson in the mail. I can't.
Of course, they're like, no, I can't move. And it's like, just sorry. This is but at the same time, if there's any way, and I know anybody that's going there or something, I'll try to send them that way. But it is weird because you get the responsibility of a doctor without actually being a doctor. But you kind of get that same feeling that they get, except they're getting paid to fucking be a doctor, and you're actually, doing this out of like the kindness of your heart in a sense. Because realistically, when somebody needs CBD, they technically hardly ever need a lot of it. You know what I mean? It's like they need a little bit compared to what I'm used to smoking myself or taking.
Oh yeah. Med people are radically different. The dose titration's radically different. We're swimming in their shit.
Yeah, and they're just like they look, and then you go like, that worked. That little tiny amount worked. It's like, yeah, worked great. And you're like, oh, I'll take care of you forever, dude. If that's what it takes, that's not a problem. And then, there's a few people out there that maybe need to smoke all day to feel because they're in a lot of pain or whatever. Yeah, not going to say that every single guy out there using medically is not using a lot. But for the most part, when it's especially when it's children involved or elderly or anything like that, the dosages are ridiculous. Like, you're to the point you're just like, wow, that's amazing that
I
small
know.
amount worked so fast. Yeah, it worked within 10 seconds. You know what I mean? And that's like, okay, this is a real deal stuff. But again, you can't run out and say it is. You have to kind of like take it with a grain of salt and sort of like be like, all right, I'll supply you with this. But the minute you sort of start to go out and say this cured that, then you kind of like, the sharks start circling you at that point.
Yeah, and there's always somebody that wants to punish you.
Yeah, and or just like over here we had the Charlotte's Web situation with because my friends brought that from Ohio, and they brought it here to Colorado, and they didn't know what they had, and they were working with them in a dispensary, and they got exactly what we just talked about earlier. My friend had a felony; he couldn't go any further and get his badge. The dispensary and the Stanley brothers basically were the owners of that. They took his genetics and took it all, and took his workers with them too. And his workers basically went along because they could keep going, and then they got to get the benefit of getting paid out like a couple $100,000 or something like that. But they got paid out for his genetics that he brought, and he got nothing. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it was like that got pimped out really hard. It got held back because of the reality that it's not a very fun plant to grow. It's like one of these really hard plants to grow properly.
Oh yeah. The AC/DC fee, the same thing. The sisters, I think, for Christ's sake.
And so they kind of like started to get a huge line of people backing up because of the reality that they just couldn't produce it fast enough. And it's like, okay, so now you're not letting it out to people. You're holding it back, and you're getting people on a waiting list for something they need now. You know what I mean? That's not the idea that we're kind of proposing. So there was a lot of that going on here locally. Then you had the Chinese crap being imported in here with all the bullshit.
It's coming in, man. I think it's coming from Korea too. You got pure CBD, pure THC. The lab detects it as clean. To me, that's the future of the industry. Because they're gonna put this shit in a pen, and no one will know what the base product is. It's like food. People have no idea where food comes from.
Yeah.
They just want to put something in their mouth.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this artificial product, and I'm laughing, and I'm like, this is chemical cannabis.
Yeah. No,
holy shit!
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's not. There's no balance to this. This is not the same product. I'm like, woo. Yeah, we got a little bit of education we have to get going.
And that's
in order for the customer to understand.
And we're lucky as a nation that we're actually able to produce it now here, because if we were relying on China to give us all of our CBDs, we'd be in trouble right now. We'd have
my God,
we'd have more issues. We would have more issues than we started with. You know what I mean? So we're
no, because look at the quality of products coming in from these guys. I'm not anti-Chinese, but I'm definitely anti-lead.
I'm anti-Chinese food. I'm anti-Chinese food because I don't feel like they're looking out for our benefit. So I wouldn't eat anything.
No. Their industry is not regulated. Yeah, no. If you go to China, their industry is not regulated.
I'll buy a hoverboard off of them, but I don't think I'll buy any food. You know what I mean? It's like
no chicken.
Yeah. So I mean, and they don't have the same. There's crazy shit going on now where they're actually allowing now for us to export chicken to China to be processed.
And then have it come back as processors with no label.
Yeah, and it's
they do it in Cali. If you have to have a Cali label on the chicken, or you can basically guarantee it's a Chinese chicken.
I know, and then I don't eat any meat anymore, so I'm pretty much out of that loop. But to me, it is showing you how the global economic thing works. It's like, okay, so it's cheaper for them to ship it out to China, have it processed there. Who knows what the hell happens? Because it's not like chicken is the most stable thing you're going to work with in the world. You know what I mean? It's like has a very good chance of getting contaminated, and then shipping it back to us. Like, oh, come on, guys, that cannot be. It is cost effective because we're so lame in this country. We can't even work, anymore. But
I support local farms. I get all my vegetables from a CSA. I try to. And cannabis taught me that. That's the irony of it all. I learned to be an organic eater because I became an organic cannabis producer. I started realizing that I was putting in 10 times the effort into feeding my plants that I ever did me.
Yeah, that's kind of what I tell people.
I
fill your reservoir, you're like, that's like 3 nights worth of food, worth of energy that I just put into there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even do that. Go home and then you make something really easy because you're making teas that take 2 days and stuff for your plants and putting all this energy towards it. But yeah, it's crazy how much and people who feed with bottled newts are even worse because sometimes they're putting in like $200 in a reservoir. You know what I mean? You're like, whoa, $200.
Oh yeah. And they're driving a production level that's insane. I mean, some of the numbers coming off the flat grids. I mean, production numbers right now are amazing. But the bottom line is, it's chem driven. Even though it's a gorgeous product, when I smoke it at the last exhale, I always go, car exhaust. So that's the bad part of it, is that when you're into cannabis for so long, you end up really becoming pretty picky about what you want to smoke. And when it comes to the food, it's the same way now, where I'm like, holy shit, man, I will wait before I eat. Like, if it's fast food, then I'll go hungry till I get home.
Oh, yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm cool with it, man. My discipline's pretty good about this.
Yeah, no, I've been really good. I moved back 5 years ago, and I haven't had any fast food since I moved back from Holland. And, when I moved to Holland, I pretty much I quit fast food when I lived out there, so I haven't eaten anything in 20 years, pretty much like that.
Yeah, no, it's much better.
And it's weird. When I travel, I'm the same. I'm like, damn, I've passed like 20 fast food places, but fuck it, I'm just going to go home, and I'm going to get home and cook something myself. At least I know what I'm cooking, and what I mean? It's just like, it is sometimes it's like, when you work on a construction site with people, or you're working, like, you're doing something where trimming or something, and there's no food except Pizza Hut, you know what I mean? And I'll be like, fuck it, I guess I'm not eating, you know what I mean? Sorry guys, have fun, it's just like, I can't do it. I can't cross the line.
Poison you.
But you're probably best move in your life was going to the West Coast at that age and getting out of, because I mean, the thing about the East Coast is it's hard to live. I mean, New England is like nothing but fucking donut shops everywhere. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh my god.
Oh, that's right. And
how many
right now, worst middle class in the U.S.
Yeah.
And worst middle class in the U.S. No money. They took away all the industrial work. We were all blue collar guys.
Yeah. And
blue collar disappeared. And now blue collar subbed out to some Asian nation, and basically New England. If you're not in a managerial technical, you're not employed.
Yeah, I mean.
For me to escape, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
And I still love New England. I'm a New Englander always in my heart, but there's no way to live there healthily.
Right. No, it's really hard. I had this idea when I was traveling, because every time I come back from Amsterdam, I'd go, I'd either see my grandmother in Rhode Island, or go to the side of the family, whatever. And at one point we were driving along, and I went by so many Dunkin' Donuts. I was like, I got a great idea for a show. Why don't we do like a rally from New York to Miami, and it's Dunkin' Donut rally. And if you see a Dunkin' Donut, you have to drive in, go through the drive-through. You have to buy a certain item and drink it and eat it before you keep going, and you'll die. You'll have diabetic shock before you'll ever make it out of Rhode Island.
Yeah. So you would make it out of town. Yeah. You'd be so caffeined out.
It'd be the funniest show, because no one would ever get anywhere, because they'd be like, I'm standing on one corner, I see 4 Dunkin' Donuts on one corner that I can spot. You know what I mean? I was like, what would you do now? You'd have to hit every single one of those. You'd be like, that's it. You got to do it. So yeah, it'd be a great show. Be just like the guy who tried to eat McDonald's, for a month. So
yeah. Supersize me.
Supersize me, except a combination of diabetic shock behind the wheel. It'd be like perfect show. So on that note, I definitely would love to come out to your Golden Tarps this year if you wanna consider me and Mitch to come out as a judge.
Oh yeah, that'd be fantastic, dude. That'd be great. We not stay in touch. You guys come on. I'll put you up. We'll have a blast, man. Come on out, Humboldt in October, especially this year. This October's going to be off the hook.
Yeah, and that's the time to be.
All the legal permits are going through. Yeah, this would be a great year to come to Humboldt.
Sure, and we did the Emerald Cup last year, and that was actually my first Emerald Cup, even though I heard about it. When I got there, I was like, oh my god, this is actually a cup of people with all the people that I kind of want to meet, like other breeders that I want to meet, and people wanted to meet me, and I was just like, this is really good. This is actually the real deal right here. You know what I mean? So
no, I love the Emerald Cup. Tim Blake's he's a lovely guy, man. He's like a really good dude, and he puts on a first class event.
Yeah, we had Tim on the show, and I met his daughter Taylor and the whole crew there. They were definitely cool people.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
they're solid.
Like I said, we were both Mitch and I were blown away when we were there. We're like, okay, this is going to be our one definite 1 cup a year. But I would love to come check out the Golden Tarp and make it 2 cups a year up there, because why not?
Great place to be.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
And like we said, if you can come out this way, any moment in time that you have a chance to come, if you could break away for a couple of days, we'll make sure to take care of you out here, because we'd love to show you what's going on and introduce.
Oh, it'd be a pleasure. I would love to come to Colorado and see you guys too. It'd be nice. I'll see you guys in your house. You come see mine.
That's it. And again, like I said, I'm going to link you up with Ron Wallace. I wanted to make this happen because I just, even if I would love to like be a third person on the phone just listening, because I think the conversation is going to be hilarious.
I know, I'd love it. That'd be great too. No, I didn't know he was from Rhode Island. That's hysterical. I'd love to meet Ron Wallace. Yeah, I know he's a giant pumpkin dude. That'd be cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could get some pumpkin, a little bit of pointers on yours if you're growing. Are you growing?
I'm down. Yeah. We're doing a giant pumpkin this year. Pat King, the Soil King, out of Cloverdale.
Nice.
Him and a friend of mine, Mike from Synergy GT. They're all trying to do a big pumpkin thing. So they threw me a seed and said, "Here, let's grow a giant pumpkin together." So we're all trying to do some giant pumpkins.
Ron got some basically his genetics are in all the top world record like last couple of years are pretty much all him. So you guys gotta link up.
Yeah, for real, that'd be awesome.
Cool. And then any kind of details of any kind of email addresses or places that people can find you or what you're doing? Is there any kind of people you want to shout out right now before we get off the?
Yeah, let's see. You can. How do you find Kev, man? Wonderland Nursery. That's on. You can wonderlandnursery.com. We have all kinds of vids on that. If you look up Wonderland Nursery, probably go to YouTube. Just punch in Kevin Jodrey, Kevin Jodrey. And what we do, too, is if people got questions about stuff, and if it's pretty easy enough, just hit the shop up, man, or email us, and we'll the shop's number is 707-923-2175, and just give the shop a call and ask a question, and we'll get back to you. It's cool to be a hub.
Yeah. A nexus. You're another nexus out there, you know, one of those
deals. It feels awesome to be part of it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think you made some great life choices going out there young and making your way into this industry because, as you know, I mean, I'm about 3 years younger than you, so I know I'm happy that I picked out the right industry too. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
I don't have to feel like what I'm going to do when I get old. I know what I'm going to do when I get old. I'm just going to have people bring me weed all the time and be like, give that old guy.
You know what you're doing.
You know that guy.
Yeah.
He made sage. Talk to him. Hey, did you ever grow my sage out or any of my strains or any of the THC strains?
Yeah, we did. We grew some of them up. You came by the HPRC years ago and dropped off some stock. Okay, and
nice.
Yeah, no, you did some beautiful work too. Good. What are you doing right now? What's your?
I mean, here in Colorado, it's been a bit weird as far as like I've been doing some small like personal projects. I haven't really gone commercial just because I dabbled here a few times, and it was classic. I was like, yes, you know, you're not going to get all my stuff, and then you're going to burn me. It's not going to happen. So I kind of was very reluctant to get in with anybody, and I kind of kept it all personal. So now I'm actually working with Dark Horse Genetics, and we're going to do we're doing a line of we're relaunching sage. I think we're doing heavy duty fruity sage and hog right now. Kind of like
nice. Your hog. I had a really nice sample of your hog.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so
someone had a killer cut of there was a greasy one that was floating around here in Soham that was just killer.
We're reworking a few of those, and the cool part about coming back to America is I got all those genetics from people here in America. You know what I mean? So I can kind of get them back into the fold. I'm trying to get my guy from the heavy duty fruity back in the fold from Cali. The hog, unfortunately, I got from a guy in San Diego who was a friend of ours' dad, and he died, and that was kind of it was weird. He died like the day we won the cup almost, you know, so it was one of those like, well, we won the cup with your thing, but well, there you go. It's an ode to your dad, and he literally looked like Uncle Jesse from Dukes of Hazzard, you know what I mean? It was like,
yeah.
He had that look, you know, so I was like, perfect. But I would love to link up and get you some new stuff and see what you think. And I mean,
that'd be great, man. We'll do some runs, and then I'll sit the killer out for the shop, and we'll run it through the nursery.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like you said, you've run through so many strains. It must be interesting to see some of these things. Any things out there that you just like are just so bummed that is not accessible anymore? That maybe some of our listeners, you never know.
There's two things that I can't find. I don't think anybody can find. We don't seem to find any of the really heavy pine indicas anymore. Really real pine, true pine. You don't see that too much anymore in any of the lines. And none of the true skunks.
Tell us about it. That's our quest right there.
No true skunks, baby.
I know.
Yeah, no true skunks and no true pines, man. You know what it was they were too loud for indoor. Yeah. I mean, when we used to run this shit, if you didn't have balls of steel, you couldn't even touch those strains. And so that stuff got cut out of the market because charcoal filtration wasn't on it quick enough.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And lo and behold, man. It's almost like a myth. People don't even think they don't even know what I'm talking about.
I know,
and those are the two things that I wish I could find.
And that's the funny thing too. That's exactly where we're at too, because I just popped some 82 Kentucky skunk seeds. So it was like skunk that was called skunk because it was skunky, not because some guy put skunk #1 behind it and called it skunk. So I got 2 males out of it, which is like unfortunate in one way, but at the same time I'm like, well, as unfortunate as it is, I can actually now fucking hit this up on like everything and see if anything gets skunk. You know what I mean? And just kind of like
yeah. Because it's a weird combination of genes that make that terp combination.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what is the reason why. And is it because the problem is there's a lot of plants out there that smell skunky when they grow. It's just like when you harvest it and it doesn't transfer. It doesn't.
No, and it's not in the mouth either.
Yeah, it's gone.
That thickness is gone. Yeah, the terpene changes. It holds the tricery terps bonds, but the monos are gone.
And here's a funny thing too: is that weirdly enough, my most skunky memory of any weed back in the day was in Rhode Island, which is weird, and it was out at the desert, the Rhode Island desert there, out there in and it was like these kids that were like living in a trailer. They had like a shitty looking plant growing behind their trailer, and I got like a bag of weed off these kids, and there was no bud structure to it whatsoever. It was all leafy and shit. Like I was probably not even bud to. It was probably. But it was so skunky. But it was so fucking skunky. It didn't matter what part of the plant, if it was the stem or the leaf or a bud.
You didn't care. Yeah. Grease out of the bag.
It was completely like, well, that's a fucking skunk. You know what I mean? And that is like you just ran over a skunk.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, it's like I smell it. I smell it here and there at like festivals or something. I'd be like, oh my god, I smell it. You know what I mean? And I'd like do a quick head snap and try to find it, you know what I mean? But it would like somehow be so fucking elusive, and I'm just like weird. It's such a weird thing for us because at one point in time there was too much skunk, you know what I mean? The skunk was everywhere, and now that's all we want, and none of us can find it, and we're all like growing thousands of plants, and you'd think that one of us would pop off and be like, oh, there it is, finally, you know what I mean? There's the fucking...
But but boy, not really. Not really. Like, I mean, we're digging, but Jesus, I'm telling. There's a lot of us that are looking.
Yes.
And we got room.
So when you find it, make sure you tell me.
When I find it, I'll let you know, man. I'll share it with you because because you don't keep that hidden because that's the one that'll die.
And it's just really, really strange because it's actually the most distinctive part of the cannabis sort of plant that it's what is known for. It's what was
It's that aroma.
It's that.
It's that distinctive aroma. Yes, in America, it is that. That's what people know it as, and that's the one thing that's not here.
And the funny part of living in Amsterdam for so long that when I was there, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking of all the hazes and all the exotic stuff and all the ties and all the crazy stuff that I couldn't really get at a sort of like I could get, but I would never really know. You know what I mean? It'd be like, okay, I got a Jamaican run or I got a Thai run or whatever, but. This was like, pre-bred and everything. So I was just sticking on those sativa sides the whole time I lived there. And then, now it's like roadkill skunk is like the #1 thing we're all looking for. And if I see a skunk when I'm driving down the road, I'm like savoring every drop of the skunk smell. It's weird. I'm like
little skunkier into cologne. Yeah,
so
I think a little skunkier.
You know what I mean? I want that. So yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty much. It's salivatory. Then it makes your mouth wet.
It's weird, right? So anyway, when you find
whatever
get
it
back
is.
to us, and we're going to definitely stay in touch, and we're super stoked to talk to you. I'm glad KTI put this together. I'm glad, and thank Ron Kraft for linking us to you.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Right on, man. Thanks so much for having me on your show. It's been a pleasure.
You got any quick shout-outs, Gavin?
Personal one?
Shit, I'm not a shout-out guy, man. I'll shout out to my crew.
There you go. That works.
I do. I got an awesome crew, man. My crew is banging, and
crew.
every day I come into work, I'm just grateful that I get to be here with these people. So, shout out to Wonderland staff.
Nice,
awesome,
nice. We'll keep our eyes open and see what Wonderland's doing over the next year or so, and we'll be there. Definitely count us in.
Right on, brother. Yeah, we'll stay in touch, and I'll see you in Colorado, and you guys will see us in Humboldt.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah, baby. Have a great day.
Peace. Bye. That was very good. I love talking to guys from New England because they're again, just like Ron, enthusiastic, agriculturally minded, enthusiastic people that actually give a fuck. You know what I mean? That's huge.
Yeah.
Also, it comes through. I'm sure it comes through on the product. I'm sure that when you listen to the fucking on pointness of how he's timing his shit and how he, and that's the key.
And running those kind of.
Yeah.
That kind of in that kind of place.
Numbers combined with very critical clientele.
Very.
Done it all, seen it all, and not being a local and being obviously not a local. I mean, you hear that accent, you're like, where the hell are you from? You know, you're not a Cali guy. Not that Cali people, especially in NorCal, I think they were definitely more open to it at a certain point, just because there wasn't like a hard life up there in a sense. But now that everybody's like, now it's fuck it, forget about it, closed territory. Like, I'm sure, you know, he's more local than anybody just because he's hiring people local, keeping family. I mean, like I said, generations of people, which is awesome. And that's, I think, important in this whole grand scheme of things, is that you look beyond short-term stuff and think about what you're doing, impacting wise, as far as, you know, like you said, like putting plants outdoors, not keeping everything indoors all the time. Like, just, and it's interesting too, because
sharing the knowledge.
One of the things that he was saying about putting plant outdoors and just, you know, making it healthy, it's really interesting to, like, true, because there's so many conditions and little weird viral things that we don't get, and sometimes it's just fucking give it a little more sunlight, you know what I mean? And obviously, if you're in a real clandestine situation, that might not be possible. But now that we're in this sort of like quasi-legal in some places, totally legal in other places, you know, if you're not utilizing sun into your advantage of some way, shape, or form, especially if you can just put your moms out for a couple hours a week and just give them some sun to get their vitamin B levels correct, and, you know, all that there's little nuances that are like, okay, well, fuck it, I don't even know what's going on. That's something beyond me, but that's important shit, you know. So, very good job, KTI.
Thank you.
You brought quality to the table.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks, Rob.
Not sure what happened to our buddies from both. Well, the dope guys were here earlier.
Their pens must have just hit them too hard.
Fuck, they must have just gotten nailed.
You know, that's what happens, I guess.
So, Dab Salute, if you guys come through next time, we'll definitely chat.
See you soon.
Keep an eye out for their products everywhere. Shout outs.
Well, Mitch and Ryan, thanks for helping out. Appreciate it. All
Mitch
the guidance.
Ryan. Mitch and Ryan. Ryan? Who's Ryan?
Miss y'all both.
Who's Ryan?
Ryan, oh, the kid.
Oh, thank you. There you go. I
Travis
had no idea
kid.
who the fuck you were talking about.
You know, that guy.
I think his name is Joe, what's his name again? Oh, yeah, I haven't shown you that. I haven't even shown you the kid live.
Oh,
Joe Pagato or something like that. I don't know. I'll find out.
Oh, and then Rod. Thanks.
Yes. Shout out to my beautiful wife, Cece, who just left to go pick up little Nick at the school. He's going to be back soon. Shout out to my mom, Ace, down at the farm. Shout out to Jacob and Sonny and Aaron, all helping out down at the farm. That's my crew down
Working
there.
tough.
See, working the crew.
Springtime.
Joel, of course. Joel, Lou, and family. Shout out to guys at Solus Tech who are thinking about jumping on board here. You know, we're talking. So might have some new sponsors. Might have some new stuff to play with. That's what I'm hoping. We can get some testing going on. Let's see. Shout out to. Well, we have no details yet on the. We're trying to talk about details on the other thing too, but we're gonna have to work on that.
We're going to have to suss that one
We need
out.
some details.
That's
Details.
what that says.
Details.
To come.
Keep an eye out for. Hopefully by next week we will be at the new spot again.
Yeah.
Back at the new spot, which sounds weird. Waiting to get that building finalized. Then we'll be in the new and improved. And back at the same place. It sounds all weird. I don't know. You can't even put it all together.
The grand reopening.
Crazy. The grand reopening. Great. See you guys next week. Thanks to everybody else for listening and watching. Shout out to Spring Hill Jack for calling in last week.
Practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.